Chapter 197. Lin Feng's group passed through the vast Kunlun mountain range and arrived near Lingyun Peak. They broke through the void and were brought to Mount Yujing by the mysterious sky treasure tree. Miao Shihao was obviously shocked when they landed on the peak. He stared at Mount Yujing and the mysterious sky treasure tree for a long time before sighing. This is where people should live. Lin Feng admits that every time someone is captivated by Jade Capital Mountain's elegance, his vanity will be greatly satisfied. Even so, he was still shocked by Miao Shihao's sigh. He laughed dryly and thought to himself, if you say that, you'll upset a whole boat of people. The group walked towards the mysterious sky treasure tree and suddenly saw a dozen children running out from under the tree. These children were all dressed in fitting purple robes. Their snow-white faces had a tinge of red, and each of them was as fair as jade. They were exceptionally adorable. They were surrounded by spiritual energy and their eyes were clear like newborn babies. They were full of innate energy and were not polluted by the filth of the human world. They were the children that Lin Feng brought back from the 100 Herb sect. There were a total of 12 people who ran out this time. They ran in front of Lin Feng and the others, neatly divided into 2 rows on the left and right, with 6 people on each side. They bowed towards Lin Feng like little adults. The crisp and sweet children's voices rang out, "Welcome back to the mountain, ancestral master." Lin Feng was surprised, but he could not show it because Miao Shihao was beside him. He only nodded and smiled. Yes, thank you. Although he did not know what was going on, it felt very good. The 12 children raised their heads and looked at Miao Shihao before bowing together. Welcome, honored guest. Please forgive us if we did not serve you well. Miao Shihao looked at these boys with interest and praised, not bad at all. He chuckled. However, I'm not an honored guest. I'm also a member of Xianmen Tianzong. You can call me Brother Shihao. The children were at a loss. They had clearly not seen someone like Brother Shihao. One of them tugged at the clothes of his companion. Brother Huanzi, what should we do? Mr. Kong didn't teach him. The boy in front of him was Xiao Huan, whom Kong Nanhua and Yu Hongyan had been searching for. He was a dignified boy, but his face was wrinkled like a bun. How would I know? Looking at the boys that were gradually becoming a mess, Lin Feng coughed lightly, saying, "This is another guardian elder of the sect, true monarch Mirror Flower Miao Shihao, you guys can call him Mr. Miao." Yes, patriarch. The 12 children quickly straightened their appearances and returned to their adult appearances. They respectfully saluted Miao Shihao and said, "Greetings, Mr. Miao." Miao Shihao pursed his lips. Well, it's not as interesting as before. The group of children immediately greeted Xiao Yan and the others. Welcome back, Great Master. Welcome back, Second Master. Welcome back, Little Master. They didn't have a formal master and were only considered children in the sect. They didn't have a fixed master, so they were arranged according to the ranks of Lin Feng's disciples. They called Xiao Yan the Great Master, Zhu Yi the Second Master, and Xiao Budian the Little Master. Wang Lin, who wasn't here, was the Third Master. Everything else was fine. When they greeted Xiao Budian, they looked at Xiao Budian, who was only a little older than them, and their faces wrinkled like buns. However, Xiao Budian enjoyed it very much. He gave a loud which made these children even more confused. Xiao Yan and Zhu Yi looked at each other in surprise. Yu Hongyan also looked at these children curiously. At this time, Xiao Huan took the lead, and the group of children lost their manners again. They giggled and said, "Welcome back, Sister Hongyan." Lin Feng watched this scene with a smile. He turned to look in the direction of the mysterious sky treasure tree. Kong Nanhua walked over with a smile. You taught them all? Lin Feng smiled and used his transcendence energy to transmit his voice to Kong Nanhua. Kong Nanhua nodded slightly. I have nothing to do, so I taught them some etiquette. In the future, when sect master opens the sect gates to welcome visitors, these children can take up the job of welcoming guests. Lin Feng looked at these children, the oldest among them was only 6 or 7 years old. He couldn't help but sigh, their age is the time when they are the most rowdy, their hearts are the wildest. It's really hard for you to teach them so well. Kang Nanhua's tone became lower. After the ordeal in the 100 Herb sect, their minds have become clear. In fact, their temperaments are much more mature than children of the same age. If you pay attention to the methods, it's not difficult to make them obedient. He looked at Xiao Huan and the others in a daze. Moreover, I like to spend time with children. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He felt that Kang Nanhua's mood was not right. At this moment, Miao Shihao's attention also fell on Kang Nanhua. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. A late-stage golden elixir cultivator has such vigorous transcendence energy. Lin Feng coughed and introduced the two of them. Miao Shihao looked at Kang Nanhua up and down with his peach blossom eyes. He clicked his tongue and said, "My goodness, your magic power is so vast and vigorous that even I, a nascent soul cultivator, am ashamed of my inferiority. How did you cultivate it?" Great Thunderclap Temple's Diamond Strength Sutra. No, there's no Buddhist aura. Giant Spirit Sect's Giant Spirit Astral Book. It doesn't look like it. Miao Shihao even started to circle around Kang Nanhua. Wait, this aura, could it be primordial chaos true water? The Tao technique you cultivate can produce primordial chaos true water. Kang Nanhua smiled slightly. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. Miao Shihao giggled and said, Aya, this grace is also outstanding. I like it. Kang Nanhua was also a little speechless by Miao Shihao. However, he had great self-restraint and only smiled when he heard that. However, he did not dare to praise Miao Shihao. Otherwise, Brother Shihao would most likely take advantage of him, and that would be even more embarrassing. Go up the mountain and find a cool cave to rest in. Lin Feng patted Miao Shihao in annoyance. Miao Shihao did not get angry. With a delicate smile, he went down the mountain and really went to find a cave abode that suited him. Kang Nanhua looked at Miao Shihao's back. I have a feeling that he is not as frivolous as he looks. Lin Feng smiled bitterly in his heart. Even so, the current situation is already very frustrating. How is Wang Lin? Lin Feng shook his head and asked Kang Nanhua. Kang Nanhua answered, 3 days ago, he felt that he was fully prepared, so he entered the grotto heaven to cultivate in seclusion. He plans to build his Tao foundation in one go. Lin Feng silently calculated. 3 days in the outside world was 300 days in the mysterious heaven-time light grotto heaven, which was close to a year. I hope everything goes well for little Lin. Lin Feng waved his hand, and Xiao Yan and the others dispersed. After bidding farewell to Kang Nanhua, Lin Feng found a secluded place and entered the lottery system. Because he had accepted Miao Shihao as a guardian elder, the system rewarded him with another lottery chance. Lin Feng was prepared to seize this opportunity. First, he entered the roulette system. Lin Feng looked carefully, but there was no sect construction token that he urgently needed. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He exited the roulette system and entered the dice system, but there was still no result. These two lottery systems would randomly give 15 items to be drawn each time. However, the items given by the system would not be refreshed before the lottery chance was actually used. In other words, only after Lin Feng had a valid lottery, the roulette system and the dice system would reset their respective 16 items to be drawn. However, there was no sect construction token among the items to be drawn in the two systems. If Lin Feng wanted to obtain the token, there were only 2 ways left. First, like the first time he obtained the main palace hall token, he could use the lottery system to gamble randomly. In the lottery system, there were 4 kinds of lots: red, long white, white, and short white. The red lot was used to exchange for the item that Lin Feng specified. The white lot wasted a lottery chance, and the item was returned in its original state. The short white lot was the worst. Not only did he get nothing, but the item was not returned. As for the long white lot, it was a random prize, the chips and items were not returned, a random item was given back to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's first sect construction token, the main palace hall token, was randomly given by the system after he drew the long white lot. However, this method of drawing lots was too risky. The random item might not even be a sect construction token. Lin Feng thought about it carefully and decided to use the second method. He would go to the roulette system's mysterious box and try to get a 3-in-1 prize. After figuring out the pattern, the roulette system gave Lin Feng at least a 25% chance of getting the mysterious box. If he could get the 3-in-1 special prize and get 3 random items at once, the probability was obviously much higher than the lottery system. The main reason for using the lottery system was to gamble on the designated item with the red lot. Lin Feng took a deep breath. After calculating the grid, he started the roulette system. The light wheel spun rapidly. After 3 revolutions, the speed slowed down significantly. After another half revolution, it was about to stop. 3-in-1, special prize, 3-in-1, special prize. To put it in an idealistic way, Lin Feng's prayer had moved the heavens. To put it in a more practical way, a 25% chance was still very reliable. In the end, Lin Feng calculated successfully again. The roulette stopped at the number he had calculated. The special prize, the mysterious box, was obtained. Next, I have to gamble on my luck. Lin Feng's mood was still like 15 buckets of water. He tapped on the mysterious box and 3 light spots flew out. Great! Lin Feng was excited. It seemed like his luck was really going to explode today. The first light spot flew in front of him. When the light dispersed, it was a red silk ribbon. Exorcism Vermilion Silk. It is useless against external enemies and cannot be used in battle. However, it has a miraculous effect against one's inner demons and evil thoughts. Lin Feng looked at the system's description and thought to himself, it can be considered a very useful item. Inner demons are the enemy of cultivation. Not only me, but those brats can also use it. As a master, I can't help much with inner demons. With this exorcism Vermilion Silk, I believe it will be useful. The second light spot also floated in front of Lin Feng. It was a soft armor. It looked like it was woven from pieces of jade. It was crystal clear. The soft armor looked as fragile as a piece of paper. It looked like an ornament, but it emitted a strong magical wave. Its aura was full of spirituality, and it revealed an indestructible will of strength. Ancient jade armor, an artifact of the Golden Elixir period. It has an extremely strong defense. It has a miraculous effect against physical attacks. Lin Feng nodded. It's not bad. Although I can't use it, I can give it to my disciples. Although the first 2 items from the mysterious box were very good, Lin Feng was getting more and more nervous. He still couldn't get the sect building token that he wanted. Lin Feng thought about how he had been through the lottery. Although he would sometimes get strange things, most of the time, he would get what he wanted. I won't be unlucky this time, right? He stared at the last light spot. Chapter 198. The mysterious chest was drawn, and the 3-in-1 grand prize was also drawn. The first 2 items were also very good, but Lin Feng's heart was still hanging in his throat. The sect construction token that he wanted the most was still nowhere to be seen. Lin Feng stared nervously at the last spot of light. After the light dissipated, it revealed its true appearance. What? Lin Feng rubbed his eyes in disbelief. What day is it today? I haven't helped an old granny cross the road for the past few days. Lin Feng was even a little terrified at this moment. It was said that luck was conserved. Today, his luck was too much. Would he be unlucky in the future? The roulette had all turned to blank squares. The things that the die wanted were all in the 1 and 2 squares that couldn't be shaken out. The draws were all short white lots, and he lost everything. It wasn't that Lin Feng was pessimistic, but the scene in front of him was too horrifying. The third spot of light dissipated, and in front of him was another mysterious chest. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Does this mean one more time? He carefully recalled and found something that made him even more horrified. Before, when he drew the mysterious chest, if it was a single item, the mysterious chest would be pure black. Other than a question mark on top, there was nothing special about it. However, the 3-in-1 grand prize box was pure black and had silver edges. At this moment, the box that appeared in front of Lin Feng was pure black and had silver edges. It was exactly the same as the one that came out of the roulette just now. My luck today is going to go against the heavens. Don't tell me that a bolt of lightning will strike me tomorrow. Lin Feng's heart was in a mess. Don't tell me that I've overdrawn my character in the future. I wonder if I can return it. If I can, I should return it and keep a low profile to accumulate luck. TSK, are you kidding me? Lin Feng's temper flared up, and he directly pointed at the mysterious chest. Die like a bird facing the sky, live forever if you don't, open. The box opened, and as expected, 3 spots of light flew out. Another 3-in-1 grand prize. 2 of the spots of light dissipated, and 2 tokens fell into Lin Feng's hands. Lin Feng took a closer look. A pill room construction token, and also a library building token that he had once missed out on. If you have the ability, open another box for me. Lin Feng was now completely relaxed, and he looked at the last spot of light. However, the system clearly didn't intend to let him get what he wanted this time. The 3rd spot of light dissipated, and what fell in front of Lin Feng was a statue the size of a palm. The statue had a strange style, and was completely black, shining with a strange luster. The carving was of a strange beast. It had the head of a bird and the body of a beast. It had bat-like wings and the claws of a lion or tiger. Its eyes flashed with a strange and vicious black light. Lin Feng could vaguely hear a shrill roar coming from its mouth, as if it was a living creature. Profound Raven Jade Statue, a trace of the fierce bird Swan Ni's soul is sealed in it, and it has a large amount of dark spiritual power. Swan Ni, also known as Profound Raven, was an ancient great demon that ran amok between heaven and earth. It was born from the endless darkness, and it was a fierce beast that controlled the power of darkness. Lin Feng played with the Profound Raven Jade statue in his hands, and thought, darkness? I'll keep it first. Obtaining a few magic tools made Lin Feng happy, but what made him even happier were the 2 sect construction tokens. If I overdraft, then so be it. Who can say for sure about a person's character? After Lin Feng's consciousness withdrew from the system, he came to the medicine field valley on the mountain, called Xiao Yan, and asked with a smile, have you thought of the answer to the question I left for you last time? Before going to the Sand Continent, when he first opened up the medicine field, Lin Feng always felt that his medicine field was lacking something. Now, he had the answer, and at that time, he had also asked Xiao Yan to think about it. Now it was time to hand in the homework. Xiao Yan smiled, I've thought of it, master. He looked at the various spirit herbs growing happily in the valley. In this medicine field, everything else is good, but there is a lack of water. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. Xiao Yan's words hit the nail on the head, it was just as he had thought. Although there was a magical soil like the Tianji spirit soil, it was not enough to grow spirit herbs, or at least it was not perfect. If there was a large amount of water rich with spiritual energy to irrigate the medicine field, the growth of the spirit herbs would definitely be improved. Lin Feng pointed with his finger, and the heavenly cycle purple chi was born, and a gurgling stream of water gushed out from the valley, flowing silently in the medicine field. The heavenly cycle purple chi produces water, although it is also rich with spiritual energy, it feels a little lacking. Lin Feng thought, forget it, for now, I'll do it step by step, and find a better water source in the future. He asked Xiao Yan to feed the nether evil flame to the Tianji doll, and after the doll swallowed the true fire, it fell into the valley and turned into a piece of spirit soil. Although the medicine field had taken shape, to quickly cultivate spirit herbs in a short time still depended on the Tianji spirit soil. Lin Feng waved his sleeve, and a large number of seeds fell into the Tianji spirit soil. They were the seeds of the withered Shiha grass. The withered Shiha grass seeds that had lost their vitality, as soon as they fell into the Tianji spirit soil, they quickly regained their vitality, green sprouts came out from the seeds, and then quickly turned into tender seedlings. The tender seedlings grew rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, they had already grown more than a foot tall. The green seedlings also gradually turned pale gold, flashing with a dazzling light, like a small sun. Lin Feng and Xiao Yan stood above the valley, and at a glance, the valley looked like a golden sea. Then there's a chance. Lin Feng nodded his head, and with a wave of his hand harvested most of the Shiha grass flashing with a golden light. He held a stalk of Shiha grass in his hand, feeling the warm and blazing spirit energy within, thinking, next we'll see if this Shiha grass can cultivate the true fire of the sun. In Sand Continent City, even though the vast ocean Dharma assembly has already ended, but as the trading center of the western border of the Qin dynasty, this place was still bustling with activity. Suddenly, two powerful auras passed through the sky, making the bustling Sand Continent City quiet for a moment. But very quickly, the cultivators here turned their attention back to trading. In the sky above the city, a group of people silently stood in the clouds, showing off their abilities, their hostility threatening, like unsheathed swords. The person at the front was dressed in a hemp robe, his expression cold. It was Shushan Yuanying stage great sword cultivator, Kong Chang. White Real and the others all stood quietly behind him. Kong Chang gazed into the sky, slowly saying, Celerita's sword sect and Blaze sword sect, why did they also come? Suddenly, two gaps appeared in the void and a large amount of green mist gushed out from one of the gaps. On top of the mist stood a scholarly elder. When he saw Kong Chang, he smiled and said, How have you been, true immortal Li Xiong? As the head disciple of the Li Xiong sword sect of Shushan's 6 Meridian sword sect, Kong Chang's title is Li Xiong Supreme. His successor will also inherit this title. Seeing this old man, Kong Chang slightly frowned, his expression becoming a little gentler. So it's ancestor Qing Wei who has personally come. It seems like your Celerita's sword sect also places a lot of importance on this matter. Qing Wei Supreme smiled, Li Xiong Supreme is too serious. Kong Chang's gaze turned to the other side, his expression becoming much colder. Flying fire, it's you? From the other gap in the sky, a large amount of raging fire gushed out. Within the raging fire appeared a figure. It was a middle-aged man dressed in red. A mana fluctuation that was terrifying enough to break through the air revealed the strength of this person as a Yuanying stage cultivator. He is one of the Yuanying ancestors of the Blaze sword sect. Normally people respectfully call him Ancestor Flying Fire. His appearance was rough and forthright, looking like a male lion. But those who are familiar with this Ancestor Flying Fire all know that within the Blaze sword sect that is full of hot-tempered cultivators, this person is an anomaly. On those fierce and heroic lion teeth, what drips is the saliva of a poisonous snake. Under his rough and forthright appearance is an extremely sinister and shrewd mind. White Real and the others facing Ancestor Flying Fire do not dare to have the slightest thought of looking down on him for being two-faced. On the contrary, they are all quite fearful. After Ancestor Flying Fire appeared, he glanced at Qing Wei Supreme of the Celerita's sword sect, laughing out loud saying, Qing Wei, you are here for that little disciple of yours? Qing Wei Supreme said lightly, that is just a small matter. What I am concerned about is the background of that master of the Xian Gate who suddenly appeared. Just what is his background? Although he said this, in reality the old man was also smiling bitterly in his heart. The little girl made a bet with someone. If she loses she will become a slave or a maid. My Celerita's sword sect cannot afford to lose this face. The 3-year agreement is not far away and the other party suddenly underwent a major change. In order to know both himself and the enemy this bag of old bones, can only make a trip. Ancestor Flying Fire shook his head. No matter what the reason is, to be able to provoke you out the other party can be considered powerful. He knows clearly that although Ancestor Qing Wei doesn't seem to have a temper, but his mana and abilities absolutely cannot be underestimated. Hearing this, Ancestor Qing Wei Supreme smiled faintly saying, weren't you also provoked out? Speaking of which, it is because of what happened in Wuzhou City back then, right? Ancestor Feihua did not care in the slightest that he gave people the impression that he would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, snorting, back then Shaoli suffered such a big loss, my Blaze Sword sect has never had anyone bully us without making a sound. These 2 years we have always been searching for the other party's whereabouts. Who knew that Daoist Lin's whereabouts are really too erratic? In the end we couldn't find him. This time I heard that there is a definite whereabouts, so I hurried over at the first moment. I want to see just what ability that Daoist Lin has. Hearing his words, Kong Chang directly revealed a disdainful expression. Ancestor Qing Wei Supreme smiled faintly, not taking it seriously in his heart. Ancestor Flying Fire's words are just for show. With their understanding of this person, if they take it seriously then they are idiots. Kong Chang lightly knocked on the sword hilt. Let's not talk too much about other things, please tell the Pavilion of Heavenly Trade the situation of that Lin Feng, my Shushan will definitely repay you. In the void suddenly came an old voice, Lord Kong Chang, don't blame me for speaking too much, let's turn hostility into friendship. Why would I blame you? It's just that the Pavilion of Heavenly Trade pays attention to harmony to make money, my Shushan is not like that. Silently Kong Chang said, previously at the auction you also reminded me not to bid for that golden tiger clone, it was my own unstable mentality that fell into that Lin Feng's trap. At this moment Kong Chang's expression was calm, appearing extremely rational, having already completely walked out from the setback at the auction. This Lin Feng is indeed not ordinary, maybe he is a wandering cultivator in seclusion who wants to create his own sect. Looking at his words and actions, his plans are not small. Kong Chang said calmly, right now the situation in the cultivation world of the Divine Land is very delicate, suddenly having such a troublemaker barging in is not a good thing, it will only make the situation even more complicated. After the auction, Kong Chang completely let go of his arrogant attitude and carefully collected all kinds of information about Lin Feng. The more he learned, the more Kong Chang paid attention to Lin Feng. This trip is just a prelude, I want to find out the truth about that Lin Feng. If necessary, my Shushan will have a senior cultivator personally deal with everything related to that Xianmen Tianzong. Chapter 199. In the Great Heaven Primordial World, the major powers had joined forces to exterminate Buddhism and exterminate the Great Thunderclap Monastery over 20 years ago. The power structure of the human cultivation world had changed greatly. The situation of the 3 sacred lands no longer existed. What gradually replaced the Great Thunderclap Monastery was the initiator of the extermination of Buddhism, the Great Zhou dynasty. Under the leadership of Liang Pan and Zhu Hongguo, the national power of the Great Zhou dynasty grew day by day. The Great Qin dynasty was originally a powerful country no weaker than the Great Zhou dynasty. However, due to the restraints between the 4 great families and the royal family, as well as the many powerful sects in the Great Qin dynasty, the national power of the Great Qin dynasty was gradually suppressed by the Great Zhou dynasty. This was not what the Mount Shu Sword sect wanted to see. Due to various reasons, the Nine Heavens Sword Alliance led by Mount Shu had also participated in the extermination of Buddhism. However, Mount Shu definitely did not want to see another power that could contend with them stand up after the fall of the Great Thunderclap Monastery. Over the past 20 years, the games and secret fights between the major powers had become more and more intense, causing the balance in the human cultivation world to become more and more fragile. The situation was already chaotic enough. Mount Shu did not want more factors to appear, especially when Lin Feng did not seem to be on good terms with them. Kong Chang said calmly, there's no need for the Heavenly Trade Pavilion to say anything else. I just need to know the general direction of this person. The Heavenly Trade Pavilion is also in the business of selling information. Give me a price and I will pay it all. I will not bargain. 2 people stood in the cave hidden in the void. One of them was one of the 3 directors of the Heavenly Trade Pavilion, Song Fu. He frowned slightly, Elder Tan. An old man stood beside Song Fu, looking into the void in a daze. This person was one of the 3 directors of the Heavenly Trade Pavilion with Song Fu. He was the oldest and his cultivation was above Song Fu's. Business is always business. Private friendship is also a service to business. Elder Tan sighed and said to Kong Chang through the void, this master of the celestial gate is mysterious and unfathomable. Even the Heavenly Trade Pavilion does not have much valuable information about him. He suddenly appeared in the Sand Continent and then disappeared mysteriously. His whereabouts are a mystery. The only useful information I can tell True Lord Kong is that when his disciples traded with people in the Sand Continent city, they showed some spirit stones from the Kunlun mountain range. Kong Chang nodded. That's enough. He gritted his teeth. My Shu Mountain once had a golden elixir period disciple, Lu Yang, who became hostile with him. Later on, he went missing in Kunlun Mountain. It seems like it has something to do with this person. Old ancestor Fei Hua frowned and said, the Kunlun Mountains are vast and boundless. Without a specific target, how are we going to find it? After a moment of silence, Kong Chang said, let's go find the local tyrant first. Ancestor Qing Wei said lightly, Wind God Sect. After saying that, he waved his sleeve first. Endless green clouds broke through the void, and he disappeared. Patriarch Skyfire laughed heartily. With a flash of fiery light, he also disappeared. Kong Chang turned to look in the direction of the Kunlun Mountains. I hope this trip wasn't in vain. At the southern foot of the Kunlun mountain range, a tall mountain pierced the sky. The thick clouds only reached halfway up the mountain. The peak of this mountain stood in the middle of the astral winds. On the peak, there was a huge palace that was surrounded by the astral winds. It was blurry and indistinct. After passing through the astral winds, a group of magnificent palaces appeared in front of them. In one of the palaces, 3 people were sitting according to the host and the guest. A middle-aged man said with a smile, the divine wind mountain of the wind god sect really deserves its reputation. This person wore a white robe. The white robe was full of cursive characters written in ink. However, it didn't give off a messy and dirty feeling. Instead, it revealed a wonderful and mysterious power. His temperament was both elegant and wild. When they were mixed together, it was hard to tell them apart. On the host's seat, a young man in cyan was sitting upright. Hearing this, he said with a smile, Mr. Zhang, you flatter me. The young man seemed to be only 13 or 14 years old. He looked extremely young. His black hair hung down, and his face was like a crown jade. He looked elegant and scholarly. He looked more like a scholar than Mr. Zhang. However, this young man in cyan was a real Yuanying old monster. His original title was Old Ancestor Hurricane. Later, when his physical lifespan reached its limit, he used the method of possession and reincarnation to extend his lifespan. When he was possessing, he had the protection of a strange treasure, ensuring that his cultivation wasn't damaged in the slightest. Moreover, he didn't have the mystery of being in the womb and his memories were completely preserved. After the possession, he changed his title to True Monarch Hurricane. He was a longtime elder of the Wind God sect. The divine wind mountain is indeed a paradise. True Monarch Hurricane is too modest. Opposite of Mr. Zhang, another guest said aloud. It was the Yu clan's Yuanying old ancestor Yuan Feng that Lin Feng met in the Sand Continent before. And this Mr. Zhang's original name was Zhang Hai. He was the manager of the great Zhou dynasty's Marquis of Xuanji Zhu Hongwu's house. Everyone knows that the Marquis of Xuanji Zhu Hongwu's house has 3 managers. But in the eyes of true experts, whatever Mr. Huang San or Mr. Tao Er, they are all just small fries. There is only one person that can truly make these experts pay attention to. That is Mr. Zhang Hai. The number 1 expert in the Marquis of Xuanji's house other than Zhu Hongwu himself, Mr. Zhang, who personally killed 2 Yuanying elders of the Great Thunder Temple. Even if Yuan Feng and True Monarch Hurricane are old monsters who have formed their nascent soul for many years, they still have to be courteous when facing Zhang Hai. Zhang Hai smiled, I wonder if I have the fortune to meet your sect leader. True Monarch Hurricane shook his head regretfully, unfortunately, the sect leader is currently in seclusion. I'm afraid he can't meet Mr. Zhang. I'm fine, it's just that Xian Gate Lin Feng is causing trouble right under your sect's nose. Your sect leader just happens to be in seclusion, it's hard to avoid him getting what he wants. Zhang Hai said while using his finger to draw on the tea table beside him, as if practicing calligraphy. True Monarch Hurricane's eyebrows slightly furrowed, then relaxed. He's at the northern foot of Kunlun Mountain, he can do whatever he wants. As long as he doesn't come to the southern mountain range, my wind god's sect doesn't mind. If he dares to cross the line, so what if the sect leader is in seclusion? We'll also teach him the rules. Zhang Hai and Yu Wanfeng looked at each other, both smiling without saying anything. True Monarch Hurricane said it lightly, but how could he allow others to sleep soundly next to his bed? As the sect closest to Xianmen Tianzong, the Wind God's sect was definitely the most vigilant and most concerned about Lin Feng's movements. Lin Feng and Xianmen Tianzong's influence in the northern foot of Kunlun Mountain was growing. It would be a lie to say that the Wind God's sect wasn't nervous. Who knew if Lin Feng had the idea of unifying Kunlun or not? What True Monarch Hurricane said was just to show his attitude in front of Zhang Hai and Yu Wanfeng, indicating that the Wind God's sect wouldn't be used by them. As Lin Feng's name became more and more famous, the Wind God's sect already knew about the matter of him killing second Mr. Tao and the Yu family's direct descendant Yu Tian, as well as the matter of the vast ocean Dharma meeting and Yu Wanfeng not long ago. True Monarch Hurricane sat on the fishing platform. He believed that the two people in front of him would be more anxious than him. Zhang Hai and Yu Wanfeng also knew what True Monarch Hurricane was thinking, but they really needed the Wind God's sect's help, so they didn't mind lending a hand. Yu Wanfeng spoke first. That day in Sand Continent City, I was confused and didn't connect him with the Taoist thief who killed my clan's disciples. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let him leave Sand Continent City alive. He paused and then said, I've already sent the news back to my clan. My fifth brother will come to Kunlun Mountain Range in a few days. At that time, we'll get justice from that Lin Feng. True Monarch Hurricane's eyes lit up. Is it Taoist Yu Qianshan? The children of your family that were killed by Lin Feng are his descendants? My fifth brother's grandson. Yu Wanfeng nodded, but he wouldn't say that the Yu clan was paying so much attention to him because of Tiny Tot. Yu Wanfeng said in his heart, I didn't think that the little bastard from back then was actually still alive. This time we must get rid of him. Zhang Hai also slowly said at this time, this person killed the steward of my house of the Marquis of Xuanji, his crimes cannot be forgiven. This time I traveled tens of thousands of miles to Kunlun Mountain Range just for this bastard. He lightly laughed. He even abducted a bastard son of the Marquis. If he instilled some twisted logic of father and son killing each other and being disobedient and unfilial, even though the Marquis isn't afraid, it would hurt his face. This time I've come to bring him back. Yu Wanfeng and Zhang Hai both made their stances clear. True Monarch Hurricane's face instantly revealed a smile. This person actually doesn't know the time and provoked public anger, doing so many evil things. As the leader of Kunlun Mountain Range's cultivation world, getting rid of this scourge is also our duty. I can't thank the two of you enough for participating in this grand undertaking. Yu Wanfeng asked at this time, only in the vast Kunlun Mountain Range, just where is this Xianmen Tianzong? Zhang Hai looked over, clearly also concerned about this question. Right now we still don't know, but this Lin Feng is so restless, he'll definitely jump out himself next. True Monarch Hurricane smiled faintly. A few months ago, someone came into contact with him face to face in Kunlun Mountain. I've already ordered my disciples to bring the person who came into contact with him back to Divine Wind Mountain. Thinking about it, the person should have already been caught. On top of Jade Capital Mountain, Lin Feng carefully activated the firepower within the true fire of the Sun Seed. After the golden needle-like true fire started burning, he added Shiha grass bit by bit. Other things, after coming into contact with the true fire of the sun, will instantly be burnt to ashes by the true fire of the sun. The true fire of the sun itself will not be replenished, the power of the fire will not increase because of this. Only Shiha grass, under the burning of the true fire of the sun, will continuously convert its own spirit energy into the firepower of the true fire. Lin Feng's consciousness carefully sensed the changes in the true fire of the sun. Under the help of Shiha grass, the firepower is clearly increasing rapidly. Almost there. Lin Feng thought in his heart. Indeed, In the next moment, as if it had encountered a bottleneck, the increase in the firepower of the true fire suddenly slowed down. The true fire of the sun faintly fell into a berserk state, like a wild beast trapped in a cage, restless and uneasy. Lin Feng didn't continue to blindly activate the true fire of the sun. Instead, he took this opportunity to communicate with the true fire of the sun. In this process, his mind gradually gained complete control of the true fire of the sun. At this time, Lin Feng analyzed the true fire of the sun that he had previously obtained through the ability analyzer. He continued to analyze and study it with the true fire of the sun in front of him. Not only did Lin Feng want to cultivate the true fire of the sun, but he also wanted to take this opportunity to comprehend the true essence of the Tao from the true fire of the sun. Chapter 200. Lin Feng silently studied the concept of power in the sun true fire. It was vast, and scorching, like the blazing aura of the sun in the 9 heavens. The flames of extreme yang in the world were like the flames of the sun in the sky. This was the nemesis of all ghosts and spirits. They didn't need to burn themselves. Even if they showed their faces, they would be vaporized by the yang qi generated by the sun true fire. The sun true fire was also known as the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven. It was one of the 7 great true fires in the world. In the heaven primal world, only the 3-legged golden crow had mastered its cultivation method. It was called the sun true fire technique, and it could control this powerful true fire. Lin Feng didn't have the sun true fire technique. Even if he successfully cultivated a large amount of sun true fire, he couldn't control it as he wished. Dealing with other enemies would be fine, but if Lin Feng meets an opponent who cultivates the true fire of the sun technique right now, once he releases this true fire of the sun, he will be captured by the opponent in the blink of an eye and turn around to attack Lin Feng. Therefore, although he had the Shiha grass, Lin Feng didn't blindly increase the firepower of the sun true fire. Instead, he used this chance to comprehend it. Although the sun true fire is extremely young and can destroy all evils, sunlight can also give birth to all things, allowing plants and living beings to grow. Lin Feng understood in his heart, a type of flame fused with the concepts of life and death at the same time. It is indeed mysterious. Lin Feng's entire body was surrounded by the dazzling golden flames. Amidst the golden flames that were like thousands of needles, incantations and talismans flashed faintly. They kept rearranging themselves until they finally formed a complete scripture. Apart from the true sun fire technique, this technique creates another technique to control the true sun fire. Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Golden light flickered in his pupils, and his eyes were like 2 small suns. I can call it the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven Canon. Lin Feng took a deep breath and swallowed all the sun true fire in his body. In the next moment, Lin Feng exhaled again, and a stream of golden true fire shot out, landing on the pile of Shiha grass in front of him. This time, Lin Feng did not control the power within it. Instead, he pushed the power of the solar true flame to the extreme. The restriction left by the golden crow great sage, break. It was as if he had reached a bottleneck in his cultivation and was about to make a breakthrough. Lin Feng's mind merged with the true fire of the sun. With the continuous support of the spiritual power of the Shiha grass, his firepower increased rapidly. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade again. The external restriction was finally broken. The true fire of the sun burned fiercely, turning into a boundless golden sea of fire at the peak of Jade Capital Mountain, illuminating half of Jade Capital Mountain. Lin Feng smiled. Come. The majestic solar true fire obediently withdrew and landed in front of Lin Feng, turning into a golden flame. It was no longer as domineering and dazzling as before. Instead, it was like a rising sun, blazing but not fierce, gentle but not weak. Success. Lin Feng let out a long breath and called Xiao Yan over. He smiled and said to him, Xiao Yan, catch it. The success or failure of your core formation depends on this. As he spoke, Lin Feng flicked his finger, and a portion of the solar true fire in front of him floated to Xiao Yan. At the same time, he also passed on the Tao technique of the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven scripture to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's spirit was refreshed. He immediately focused and tried to comprehend the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven scripture. After a while, he suddenly opened his mouth and swallowed all the solar true fire into his stomach. Without Lin Feng's suppression, the solar true fire immediately showed signs of exploding. Xiao Yan did not dare to be careless. He wholeheartedly operated the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven scripture to refine this ball of solar true fire and make it his own. Under Xiao Yan's deliberate guidance, the solar true fire fell into the cauldron above his Qi-Si's spirit platform. As soon as it entered the cauldron, it immediately triggered the netherworld evil flame hidden inside. When the two great solar true fires met, they did not feel like a family. Instead, they immediately started a fierce battle. Xiao Yan frowned and sweat appeared on his forehead. Seeing this, Lin Feng pointed out to him and said, "You don't have to forcefully fuse the two solar true fires into one. You have to use both of them to help you forge your cauldron and then form the golden elixir. The most important thing is your own cauldron. This is the core of your Tao technique. With me as the main and the solar true fire as the auxiliary, don't let the solar true fire take over. That would be walking on the wrong path." After hearing this, Xiao Yan immediately reacted. He no longer tried to fuse the two solar true fires. Instead, he guided the two solar true fires to cooperate in refining his cauldron, making his cauldron even more condensed and powerful. Seeing that he was on the right track, Lin Feng nodded. With Xiao Yan's comprehension, Lin Feng didn't need to teach him how to do it. That wasn't the attitude he should have when passing on the Tao and dispelling doubts. He only needed to point out a general direction and tell Xiao Yan what the essence of the Tao technique was and which was the correct path. Just like how Buddha never taught his followers the specific cultivation method, he only taught them to see their true nature, and the ancient sages didn't explain the specific scriptures. They only taught scholars to cultivate righteousness. It was the same principle. The 8 trigram scripture of the Great Way of Heaven that Lin Feng passed on to his disciples only described the void of the heavens and the principles of creation. As for the specific cultivation method, each of his disciples had their own comprehension and achievements. Disciples taught by a master would, of course, learn faster, but they would often fall into shackles. In the future, if they wanted to walk their own path, they would have to spend a lot of effort. Many things were always comprehended by oneself. It was more precious than others telling you, and it was more suitable for you. What Lin Feng needed to do was to help Xiao Yan and the others stabilize the general direction so that they wouldn't go astray. Oh! Little Lin has come out of seclusion. Lin Feng suddenly thought of something and turned to look in the direction of the mysterious Heaven-Time Light Grotto Heaven. This feeling, he has succeeded in building his foundation. A figure descended from the mysterious heaven treasure tree. His expression was solemn and calm. It was Wang Lin. At this moment, his magic power was as vast as the sea, completely different from a qi refinement cultivator. This was the characteristic of an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator who had successfully opened up his qi. Wang Lin, who had succeeded in building his foundation, stood tall and straight. His aura became more and more stable. In his steadiness, there was a faint murderous aura that made people feel a chill in their hearts. When he arrived in front of Lin Feng, he looked completely different. A smile appeared on his face, as if the dark clouds had dispersed and revealed the sun. Disciple greets master. Lin Feng looked at him and thought, "You brat, the road to happiness is strewn with setbacks. Others have already started to prepare for core formation, but you've only just built your foundation. Moreover, your period of rapid development has yet to arrive. At the very least, you have to survive the foundation establishment stage and form the golden elixir. Little Lin, you still have a long way to go." Thinking of this, Lin Feng sighed inwardly. The difference in the early stages of cultivation is really too big. However, on the surface, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't discourage Wang Lin. Different people used different methods. It might not matter if they had a different growth environment, but being around Xiao Yan and the other two monstrous senior and junior brothers, anyone would feel immense pressure. If it was someone else, they would have collapsed long ago. Lin Feng really had to rejoice. In addition to his comprehension ability, Wang Lin's willpower was also a full 10. Otherwise, his confidence would have long been smashed into dregs by Xiao Budian and the other two. Therefore, for Wang Lin, in addition to the necessary guidance, what Lin Feng needed to do was to constantly encourage. The other three brats had to be poured cold water from time to time to prevent them from walking too smoothly and becoming complacent. Wang Lin, on the other hand, had to be the exact opposite. He had to constantly cheer him on. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Little Lin, Master once said that after you build your foundation, I'll celebrate for you. This is my gift." He turned his palm and a streak of white lightning flew up and landed in front of Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked carefully and saw that it was a ring. Its whole body flickered with arcs of lightning and crackled continuously. "Master, this thing is..." Wang Lin raised his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled slightly. "This thing is called the magnetic bipolar ring. After unfolding, it can transform into the magnetic bipolar divine light boundary. It can resist the invasion of external enemies. It can attack and defend at the same time and has endless wonderful uses." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He didn't practice physical martial arts and mainly cultivated spells and divine abilities. He was a genuine law cultivator. For a cultivator like him, what he feared the most was being tangled up in close combat with an enemy. He especially hated close combat with an opponent who was proficient in physical martial arts. With this magic item protecting him, Wang Lin could leisurely and contentedly hide within the magnetic bipolar divine light boundary and leisurely use the spells he was proficient in to slowly deal with the enemy, beating them to the point that they couldn't take care of themselves. And this magnetic bipolar ring is a golden elixir period magic item. For the current Wang Lin, it couldn't be more suitable. Facing foundation establishment stage or even golden elixir period opponents, this magic item can almost be considered as an absolute defense. As for Yuanying stage old monsters, without this magic item, right now Wang Lin still isn't their opponent. There's no need to consider it. Lin Feng smiled and said, "How is it?" Wang Lin nodded his head heavily. "Thank you, Master." Lin Feng smiled. This magnetic bipolar ring can actually be considered the first magic item he personally forged. The raw material is the first magic item he obtained after coming to this world, the Northern Aurora Sword. The Northern Aurora Sword itself is a foundation establishment stage magic item. If he can obtain the other foundation establishment stage magic item Southern Aurora Sword that is paired with it, then he can combine it into a golden elixir period magic item magnetic bipolar Taoist sword. Lin Feng was inspired by this and after he advanced to the golden elixir period he reforged the Northern Aurora Sword. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have the Southern Aurora Sword on hand, he just has to use the purple chi to simulate it. Not sure if it's because he used a fake, but the magic item he forged in the end had a small deviation. The Taoist sword became a ring. But its power went up another level. The magnetic bipolar ring in front of him is a top golden elixir period magic item that isn't any weaker than the 7 demon dragon slaying sword and the black cloud flag. When Lin Feng bestows magic items to his disciples, he has to spend a lot of thought and try to be as close to their actual situation as possible. Wang Lin obtaining the magnetic bipolar ring, he's naturally happy. "I have the wind god formless art, I have the great sun brilliant heaven canon. If I can complete the incomplete book of the country and country, then there'll only be one last Dao technique left." Lin Feng's thoughts right now floated to another place. If I can gather all of the required conditions, I might really be able to accept disciples in Shazhou City. While thinking, Lin Feng's brows furrowed slightly, looking at Wang Lin. "Wait a minute, little Lin's mana, why does it seem a bit weird?" Chapter 201. Lin Feng suddenly felt that the mana in Wang Lin's body was a little abnormal. "Little Lin, cast a spell for me to see." Lin Feng said with a frown. Wang Lin nodded. He didn't use the Yellow Springs Finger of Heaven, but a new spell. After I reached Foundation Establishment, I comprehended a new spell. Master, please give me some pointers. He formed a seal with both palms, and as his mana surged, a black and yellow, turbid path appeared indistinctly in the air. Seeing this, Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He rose into the air and stepped onto the black path created by Wang Lin. The road seemed to have no end. The instant Lin Feng landed on the road, all of the scenery disappeared from his line of sight. There was only nothingness in front of him, and this path was the only thing left. At the same time, endless thoughts and memories surged into his mind, violently attacking Lin Feng's spirit. The power of reincarnation. Lin Feng calmed himself down and looked down. Suddenly, thousands of skeletal arms rushed out of the black and yellow soil, grabbing at him fiercely, wanting to drag him into the path. It was as if thousands of white bones and vengeful spirits were buried under the roadbed of this path. Once a living being landed on the path, these vengeful spirits would drag the living being down to accompany them. Lin Feng already understood. The Yellow Springs Path, Bilyang Slope, a path that connects the realms of life and death. Is this the new spell that little Lin created? It was obvious that although Wang Lin used the 8 trigram scripture of the Great Way to build his foundation, he had integrated many of the concepts of the Yellow Springs Pearl's power in his comprehension of the Tao. Lin Feng didn't care about this. After he woke up, he fixed his spirit, not being affected by the power of reincarnation. The thousands of bone claws that grabbed at his ankle had already shattered before they could touch Lin Feng's body. What Lin Feng cared about was that Wang Lin's spell contained a dark and terrifying aura. Yes, it was terrifying. Ever since Lin Feng formed the golden elixir and saw through the great terror of life and death, there were very few things in this world that could make him feel fear. However, after coming into contact with Wang Lin's mana today, Lin Feng actually felt a vague sense of fear again. He wasn't afraid of Wang Lin's power. Wang Lin's current strength wasn't even worth mentioning to him. However, Wang Lin's Fa contained a trace of power, which made Lin Feng feel a sense of fear. It was a power that surpassed death. Nirvana of heaven and earth. All living things were created. If there was life, there would naturally be destruction. After destruction, there would be rebirth. This cycle was called creation. Although cultivators could break through the threshold of life and death, surpassing the limits of human lifespan and living a carefree life, when faced with the end of the world, it was still difficult for them to escape. When the nest is overturned, there will be no eggs left intact. Therefore, after transcending life and death, the only power that could make Lin Feng feel awe again was the power of heaven and earth, the power of creation, and the destruction of all heavens. As for Wang Lin, he had only just built his foundation, but he had already comprehended some of the power of the end of the world. You really deserve to have a full 10 points of comprehension. I'm more and more looking forward to your performance after forming the golden elixir. Lin Feng sighed. This level of comprehension is really too heaven-defying. When Tiny Tot comprehended the principle of the yin-yang of wind and thunder, Lin Feng felt that it was not simple. However, Wang Lin comprehended the power of the end of the world. His comprehension was so high that it made people's hair stand on end. Life and death were the most fundamental and the strongest power of yin-yang. It was above the opposing powers of wind and thunder, light and darkness. Wang Lin had just built his foundation, but he had already touched the edge of death. This really made Lin Feng sigh. I really can't play happily with you animals. The pressure is too great. I have to work hard, otherwise I'm afraid there will be trouble. How could there be no trouble? Looking at Wang Lin's appearance, it was clear that when the world was in trouble, it would be like a spring, and he would be consigned to eternal damnation. He was completely a lone star. What did it mean to be a lone star? To put it bluntly, he was the so-called jinx. He was alive and kicking, turning calamities into blessings. He would be fine no matter how big the trouble he caused, but the people around him would be in big trouble. It was like a storm. The center of the storm was calm and nothing happened, but everywhere it passed, not even a blade of grass was left. Anyone who came close would die if they touched it. Since Lin Feng had already taken Wang Lin as his disciple, it was naturally impossible for him to return the favor. He also didn't plan on changing Wang Lin's personality and style of doing things. If his personality and style changed, Wang Lin would no longer be Wang Lin. It was hard to say if he could still achieve the expected achievements in the future. Since he didn't plan on changing Wang Lin, the only thing Lin Feng could do was to continuously strengthen himself. When the storm that Wang Lin brought about came, he could guarantee that he wouldn't be swept into the garbage heap by the tail of the typhoon. At the same time, Lin Feng thought very unscrupulously, however, there are still a few children of Providence standing beside me. The destined one, they should be able to resist your inauspicious star fate, right? As his thoughts ran wild, Lin Feng released the mana around his body and jumped out of the Yellow Springs Road lightly. He looked at Wang Lin and nodded, "Little Lin, not bad, but there is still room for improvement. Or rather, you have to improve. Just understanding the principle of nirvana is far from enough. You have to understand the principle of creation as well. Only then can you go to the next level." Lin Feng's tone was very solemn, otherwise, just the power of nirvana will make your mana unparalleled and almost invincible against people in the same realm. However, without the corresponding power of creation, your path in the future will become narrower and narrower until you walk into a dead end. Just the power of nirvana will wipe out your own vitality. By then, it will be too late. Not only will you not be able to improve your cultivation realm, you will even lose your life. Wang Lin's expression was also very serious. He nodded and said, "I will definitely remember Master's teachings." He lowered his head and thought for a while. He said, "Master, please look." Wang Lin raised his hand and pointed. In the air, another black-yellow road of the Yellow Springs appeared. Lin Feng's gaze swept over and immediately discovered that even though this road of the Yellow Springs was also extremely mysterious, it no longer contained that heart-palpitating power of nirvanic extermination. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Very good. Your control of your own power is very good." Wang Lin also smiled. "I have named this power the Yellow Springs Death Realm. I do not use it easily. When I meet an enemy that I cannot deal with, I will let myself enter the Yellow Springs Death Realm state and integrate the concept of nirvana into my mana to kill the enemy." Lin Feng nodded. "That is for the best. However, this is a test of your judgment. Sometimes, the enemy will not give you the chance to regroup." Wang Lin replied, "I will remember Master's teachings." As for the concept of the power of creation, Lin Feng stretched out his hand and pointed. A large amount of cyclic purple qi flowed into Wang Lin's body. Use your heart to understand the mystery within. The cyclic purple qi is also known as the great cyclic qi of all things. It has the endless magical effect of transforming all things. And then this Yellow Spring spell of yours is also very good, there is still potential that can be unearthed. Lin Feng continued to point out, the core of the power of the Yellow Springs pearl is still the Yellow Springs true water. Wang Lin nodded repeatedly and comprehended carefully. At this moment, Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. He felt that below Yujing Mountain, on the Lingyun peak of the Kunlun mountain range, there was an extremely familiar power fluctuation. This feeling is so familiar. Where have I seen it before? An idea suddenly flashed in Lin Feng's mind. Yes, it's the lunar true water. Why would this thing suddenly appear on the Lingyun peak? Lin Feng was puzzled. He looked through the void and his divine sense landed on the Lingyun peak. He saw a white-clothed youth in a sari state being surrounded by a group of people in green. It's really him. Lin Feng's brows furrowed slightly, this white-clothed youth being surrounded and captured is precisely Yang Qing who he met once before. Yang Qing was originally a disciple of the small cloud water cave in the northern foothills of the Kunlun mountain range. When Lin Feng first came to the Kunlun mountain range to look for Yujing Mountain, he had met him. They experienced the chaos of the fire crows and the appearance of the lunar true water together. At that time, a disciple of the wind god sect, Gao Fan, attempted to steal the life force of others and subdue and refine the lunar true water with the common people's great cauldron technique. In the end, it was destroyed by Lin Feng and the lunar true water disappeared. At that time, Lin Feng speculated that the true water should be hidden in someone's body. However, he did not expect that the lucky person was Yang Qing. After not seeing him for some time, Yang Qing's cultivation had advanced from the Qi refinement great circle to the foundation establishment stage. Unfortunately, his opponents outnumbered him. Their leader was even in the golden elixir period. If not for the fact that he wanted to capture him alive, Yang Qing would have been defeated long ago. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Are they from the wind god sect? This group of green-clothed people's magic power and aura were obviously cultivating the wind god sect's Dao technique, wind god formless art. The spells that they cast were mostly tornado slash, spiraling earth-piercing wind and other wind god sect's signature spells. Yang Qing was still the same. His combat ability was extremely sloppy and ordinary. He was forced into a difficult situation by the group of enemies. Fortunately, every time Yang Qing was about to be unable to hold on, his index and middle fingers would form a sword and point forward. A stream of dark green water would spurt out. This dark green water was the lunar true water. When the true water fell into the river in the valley of the Lingyun Peak, it immediately dyed the river a jade-like dark green. Next, the green river water would all be used by Yang Qing to help him defend against the enemies. The river's spiritual energy was oppressive. The key was that the water was majestic. It easily dissolved the opponent's attack and even forced the wind god sect cultivators to retreat. When Lin Feng saw this scene, he sighed in his heart. The lunar true water is known as the commander of all waters. It really lives up to its name. Any place with sufficient water can become Yang Qing's home ground. Here, his strength is almost comparable to a golden elixir period cultivator. If this was near a large lake or a large river, then his combat ability would increase even more. If it was by the sea, then it would be even more obvious. However, Yang Qing seemed to have gone through a series of tough battles. His magic power was almost exhausted. Even the lunar true water could not be controlled for a long time. Lin Feng shook his head slightly. Among so many people, you are the only one who obtained the lunar true water. Your luck is considered quite good. Now that you are at the end of your rope, it just so happens that you are in front of my house. Young man, your luck has not run out yet. He turned his head and said to Wang Lin, Xiao Linzi, get ready. Practice your magic and your newly acquired magnetic poles in actual combat. When Wang Lin heard this, his eyes immediately lit up. Chapter 202. Yang Qing felt cold all over his body, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He was shivering from the cold. However, he was well aware that the coldness he was feeling right now was different from the coldness his body felt in his daily life. This was the cold he felt in his soul. It had nothing to do with temperature. Instead, it was the feeling of his soul being unstable and about to disintegrate at any time. Is this the result of the excessive consumption of my soul and the exhaustion of my magic power? Yang Qing felt his consciousness blur. He was only able to hold on until now by relying on his last breath. In the distance, the wind god sect's golden elixir period cultivator, Ma Ji, sneered as he looked at Yang Qing, who was on the verge of collapse. Originally, I just wanted to interrogate you about the master of the celestial sect. I didn't expect you to have one of the 6 great true waters, the lunar true water. Ma Ji smiled and said, it's just a waste for this thing to fall into your hands. Give it to me. Ma Ji, who had been holding the line for his disciples, suddenly waved his hand and a hurricane rushed towards Yang Qing. Yang Qing clenched his teeth and manipulated the lunar true water to control the water. A large amount of water turned into a water wall and blocked in front of him. The hurricane bombarded the water wall. The water wall was on the verge of collapse, but it stubbornly withstood the attack of the hurricane. Ma Ji smiled and pinched a spell with his hand. Suddenly, an invisible and traceless nine heavens formless astral wind slashed out and instantly broke the water wall. At this moment, Yang Qing was already seeing stars, but he still held on. With a low shout, he put his palms together, and a large amount of dark green pure lunar true water gushed out, blocking the nine heavens formless astral wind. The fierce astral wind cut the dark green water into pieces. However, although the dark green water was scattered, it did not fall to the ground. In the blink of an eye, it reformed and continuously wore down the nine heavens formless astral wind. Seeing this, the greed in Ma Ji's eyes deepened. Lunar true water is really a good thing. Unfortunately, it can't protect you. Yang Qing felt bitter in his heart. His cultivation was much weaker than Ma Ji's and he was unable to control more true water. Now, he was like an arrow at the end of its flight. Soon, Ma Ji's nine heavens formless astral wind would break through his defense. The lunar true water can't save him, but I can. A voice suddenly reverberated from the void, filling all directions as though it was everywhere. Ma Ji's heart skipped a beat. Before he could react, the nine heavens formless astral wind that he had released suddenly disappeared. Ma Ji's face turned pale with fright. He raised his head and saw a young man in purple with a cold expression descending from the sky on the back of a Fei Lian beast. Foundation establishment stage. Ma Ji furrowed his brows and looked at the Fei Lian beast. His expression changed immediately. This is the Fei Lian beast of my wind god sect. Why is it in your hands? The purple-clad young man was none other than Wang Lin. He ignored Ma Ji and rode his Fei Lian beast to land beside Yang Qing. Yang Qing's consciousness was already somewhat blurred, but that day in Kunlun Mountain, Lin Feng and his disciple had left an extremely deep impression on him. In a daze, he recognized Wang Lin. You're Senior Lin's disciple. Silently, Wang Lin said, "Come up, Master wants to see you." Without waiting for Yang Qing's reply, Ma Ji scoffed. Who are you? How dare you meddle in my wind god sect's business? Also, where did this Fei Lian beast of yours come from? Half a year ago, senior brother Lai Feng sensed that the Fei Lian that he had given to his missing disciple had appeared in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain. Hence, he came to look for it. However, he suddenly lost contact with it. Could it be that you guys did it? Who are you guys? Didn't you want to interrogate Yang Qing about me, Xianmen Tianzong? Lin Feng's voice echoed in the void. I am the master of Xianmen, Lin Feng. As for Taoist Lai Feng, he has already been killed by me for barging into my sect's cave abode. Ma Ji was enraged. So it's really you guys. Silently, Lin Feng's voice was emotionless. Silently, it echoed in the void. Your wind god sect seems to have some ulterior motives towards my sect. Tell me, what do you want? Ma Ji scoffed. He knew that he would not be able to catch Yang Qing today. However, he was not discouraged. He thought to himself, it seems like Xianmen Tianzong's mountain is near Lingyun Peak. I will report this to my sect as soon as possible. Then, I will get back at them. As he was thinking, Ma Ji suddenly realized that there was an endless amount of purple gas surrounding them, trapping all of them inside. Oh no! Ma Ji's expression changed. He activated the nine heavens formless gale in an attempt to break through the purple gas. However, as the purple gas swirled around, it contained the mysteries of space and dissolved Ma Ji's nine heavens formless gale. After Wang Lin helped Yang Qing onto the Fei Lian beast, he jumped down from its back. He looked at Ma Ji and the others. Without saying a word, he immediately made his move. He formed a hand seal with both hands. A dark and yellow road extended from the purple gas. It was dark and gloomy. It was the road to the underworld. The group of wind god sect cultivators landed on the road. Instantly, they were attacked by the power of samsara. Their souls became unstable. Some of the Foundation establishment cultivators with lower cultivation were directly dragged into the road by the thousands of white bone claws that extended from the roadbed. However, these Foundation establishment cultivators did not resist. Instead, they were all in a daze. Countless fragmented images seemed to be flashing in their eyes. All of them were attacked by the power of samsara. Their minds were in a mess. Countless memories from their past lives flashed through their minds. With such a huge impact of information, they could not concentrate at all. Naturally, they could not deal with the attack of the bone claws. As a golden elixir period cultivator, Maji had seen through life and death. His soul was stable, so he was obviously less affected. He looked at Wang Lin in shock. What kind of spell is this? How can a mere Foundation establishment cultivator be so ferocious? However, Ma Ji was secretly delighted. From the looks of it, the sect master of Xian Men will not take action personally. He will only trap us and let this disciple of his make things difficult for us. I will capture your disciple and force you to open a path for us to leave. Thinking of this, Ma Ji braced himself. He put his palms together and released another 9-heaven formless astral wind. It heavily struck the road to the underworld. The fierce and indestructible astral wind directly broke Wang Lin's road to the underworld. Wang Lin frowned slightly. Facing a golden elixir period cultivator, I can't hold back anymore. Thinking of this, Wang Lin's body surged with a black aura. An extremely ominous and terrifying aura instantly filled the entire purple gas space. A power of great disaster and great destruction emerged as if it wanted to destroy everything. What kind of power is this? Ma Ji was slightly shocked at first. Then, he blushed. No matter what kind of power it is only at the Foundation establishment stage. He controlled the 9-heaven formless astral wind and fiercely struck the top of Wang Lin's head. Wang Lin sneered. With a flip of his palm, a light circle floated in mid-air and shone brightly above his head. Zzz, an ear-piercing sound of electricity rang out, and countless white lightning bolts surged out from the halo. Then, they rapidly expanded into a huge barrier. It was like an upside-down bowl on the ground, protecting Wang Lin within. At the same time, Wang Lin pointed a finger at Ma Ji. Ma Ji had a bad feeling in his heart. However, before he could dodge, a large amount of black aura of death surged out of the space around his body without any warning. Myriad Heaven Yellow Springs Finger of Nirvana. After Wang Lin successfully reached the Foundation establishment stage, the power of his Finger of Nirvana had increased by thousands of times. Now that he had entered the Yellow Springs Death Realm, the black aura of death had integrated with the power of Nirvana. The current Finger of Nirvana was truly worthy of its name. It was no longer turning a person from life to death. Instead, it was turning all targets into ashes, turning them into nothingness. Ma Ji immediately felt threatened. However, he still forcefully activated the 9-heaven formless astral wind. He wanted to kill Wang Lin first. At this moment, he had already felt a huge threat. The matter of capturing Wang Lin alive as a hostage had long been thrown to the back of his mind. He only wanted to kill Wang Lin, who had suddenly made him extremely fearful. The sharp 9-heaven formless astral wind struck the balls of lightning, creating countless sparks. However, it was unable to really break through the barrier. Ma Ji's eyes widened. A golden elixir period magic tool. And it's even a top-notch golden elixir period magic tool. Under the attack of the 9 heavens formless astral wind, the surface of the bipolar magnetic divine light barrier distorted violently. Countless white lightning bolts circulated on its surface, wearing down the attack of the 9 heavens formless astral wind, making it impossible for it to advance any further. Wang Lin was unscathed under the protection of the bipolar magnetic rings. However, Ma Ji was in a miserable state. His entire body was bombarded by the black deathly aura that contained the power of nirvana. Previously, the deathly aura could only corrode the vitality of living beings. However, the deathly aura now was incomparably domineering. In almost an instant, it broke through Ma Ji's protective magic power. Ma Ji let out a tragic cry. He forcefully endured the pain and took out a small flag. Instantly, 7 to 8 9 heaven formless astral winds surged out from the small flag. They roared and broke through Wang Lin's deathly aura space. Coming out from the deathly aura, Ma Ji looked at Wang Lin, who was protected by the bipolar metamagnet divine light enchantment, with lingering fear in his heart. Wang Lin had a good magical artifact to protect himself, which he could barely accept. However, the attack of the finger of Nirvana just now was really beyond his expectations. If it wasn't for the protection of the 9 heaven formless astral winds, Ma Ji, who was a golden elixir period cultivator, would have lost a layer of skin even if he didn't die. This time, he learned his lesson. He didn't use the 9 heaven formless astral winds to attack Wang Lin. Instead, he protected himself. This way, although Wang Lin's finger of Nirvana could be cast from afar, it was no longer effective. The deathly aura space had just formed when it was torn apart by the 9 heaven formless astral winds. However, this way, Ma Ji couldn't threaten Wang Lin anymore. He felt even more depressed. If I gather all the astral winds to attack together, there might be some hope of breaking through his defense. However, if I do that, I'll also be threatened by his magic power. It's really not worth it to exchange my life with this little foundation establishment trash. Looking at Wang Lin, Ma Ji suddenly felt a chill in his heart. The disciple is already so cruel. What kind of terrifying person would the master be? The battle fell into a stalemate. The two of them couldn't do anything to the other. Wang Lin secretly frowned. As master said, this power of Nirvana is also a burden to my body. It's fine for a short period of time, but if I stay in the Yellow Springs Death Realm for a long time, my body will feel very uncomfortable. If I continue to waste time like this, it won't be good for me. Chapter 203. The battle with Ma Ji fell into a stalemate. Wang Lin pondered on a strategy while also thinking in his heart, golden elixir period cultivators are indeed not that easy to kill. If I establish a beer, my chances of winning should be a bit higher. After the battle with the Wind God sect cultivators, Wang Lin already has a clear understanding of his own strength. In the same realm, other than fellow disciples of the same sect, I am invincible. As the strongest sect in the Kunlun mountain range, the Wind God sect may not be able to compare to the 3 Holy Lands, but it is on the same level as the Blaze Sword sect and Celerida's Sword sect. Its Tao technique, the Wind God formless art, is quite unique and can even cultivate one of the 4 divine winds, the 9 heaven formless gale. In the same realm cultivators, its combat ability is very strong. But facing Wang Lin, the foundation establishment stage cultivators of the Wind God sect have absolutely no ability to fight back. Facing the golden elixir period cultivator Ma Ji, Wang Lin also has the ability to fight back. After activating the Yellow Springs Death Realm, Wang Lin has the ability to threaten the opponent. Under the protection of the magnetic double circles, Wang Lin can even fight on par with the golden elixir period Ma Ji. If I have late-stage foundation establishment stage cultivation, even without the magnetic double circles I can still fight with this person, Wang Lin thought. After I form the golden elixir, killing this person will be as easy as blowing off dust. Wang Lin very quickly made a judgment. If the current me wants to kill this person, it is a bit difficult. I have to take a risk. He stared at Ma Ji and suddenly did something that shocked Ma Ji. Wang Lin's hand sign changed and actually removed the magnetic double light barrier. Countless white lightning in the air once again turned into the appearance of the magnetic double circles. Then under Wang Lin's control, the circles of light turned into a white rainbow and directly struck towards Ma Ji. This is him giving up the defensive power of the magnetic double circles and turning it into an attack. You brat wants to fight with your life on the line. Ma Ji was shocked at first. Then he became angry. No, he has the protection of the celestial sect master. When the two of us fight to the death, his master will definitely not sit idly by. At that time, I will be the one to suffer. Thinking of this, Ma Ji did not dare to hesitate any longer. He set up the 9 heavens phaseless astral gale. However, it was not to fight to the death with Wang Lin. Instead, he made use of the wind's speed to move quickly, evading the attacks of the magnetic poles. Wang Lin's lips curled into a smile. He did not let up on his attacks. Other than the polar magnetic circles, the universal Yellow Springs finger and the road to the underworld came in an endless stream, forcing Ma Ji to flee in all directions. Above the clouds, Lin Feng shook his head with a smile when he saw this scene. Of course, he would not sit and watch Wang Lin be in danger. If Wang Lin's life was really in danger, he would definitely take action. Let the disciple undergo tempering, not send him to his death. However, Wang Lin did not really intend to completely rely on Lin Feng's strength. He was fearlessly using the method of exchanging his life for Ma Ji to bully Ma Ji. Wang Lin's true intention was to make use of Lin Feng's existence to create a huge psychological pressure on Ma Ji. From there, he would beat Ma Ji until he covered his head and fled like a rat. In other words, Wang Lin was actually using psychological warfare to launch psychological attacks to gain the upper hand. If Ma Ji was really a man, Wang Lin would not mind fighting him head-on. Lin Feng looked at Wang Lin and nodded slightly. Little Lin is not bad in terms of actual combat. In a real combat, if there is no overwhelming difference in strength between the two parties, there are many factors that can affect the outcome of the battle. Psychology, experience, and even the state of reaction at the time are all factors that can be used. While Wang Lin was fighting to his heart's content, Ma Ji was so frustrated that he wanted to die. He suddenly made up his mind and summoned all the 9 heavens phaseless gale, pouncing towards Wang Lin. Are you going to fight with your life? Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. The long Yellow Springs road first extended out, and then he pointed at it. The Yellow Springs road was instantly filled with black gas. The power of the Yellow Springs death realm was unleashed to the extreme. Meanwhile, the 2 polar magnetic rings flew into the air. After drawing an arc in the air, they struck down at Ma Ji's head like divine lightning from the 9 heavens. The Yellow Springs road defended while the 2 polar magnetic rings attacked. Wang Lin attacked from both sides, attacking and defending at the same time. In reality, he was waiting for Ma Ji to lose his patience and fight him head-on. If he really dragged this on, Wang Lin would definitely be the first to give up. But unfortunately, the psychological pressure that Lin Feng gave Ma Ji was too great. But even so, Ma Ji still maintained his calm. He pounced into the air and suddenly controlled the 9 heavens phaseless gale to change direction, avoiding Wang Lin's Yellow Springs road and the 2 polar magnetic rings. Instead, he rushed towards the vast purple gas that enveloped this space. His diversion immediately shook Wang Lin. He didn't expect that Wang Lin was pretending to fight with his life. His real intention was to escape. I put on a desperate stance. The master of the celestial sect of wonders will definitely put most of his attention on his disciple. It's inevitable that he will pay less attention to the purple gas barrier that seals this space. This is my chance. Ma Ji's body suddenly shrunk under the influence of the 9 heavens phaseless gale. It was as if he had shrunk into a needle tip and was no longer than a strand of hair. With a light flash in the space, he disappeared. A pale blue light that was completely invisible to the naked eye rushed towards the barrier laid by Lin Feng's purple gas. Although the purple gas barrier was strong, Ma Ji concentrated all his strength on one point and broke through the surface. The power of the purple gas barrier seemed to be a little scattered. It was unexpectedly pierced by the pale blue light that Ma Ji had turned into. The pale blue light was like a slippery snake. It meandered through the purple gas barrier, trying to pierce the barrier and break out of the encirclement. At this time, the dagger was revealed. At this time, Ma Ji became more and more calm. This action seemed reckless, but in fact, it was the result of Ma Ji's calculation in his mind many times at every moment. He tried his best to find the weakness of the purple gas barrier. At the same time, he had to carefully avoid the purple gas support from other places. Although Ma Ji's action was completed in the short time of a breath, how could it escape the eyes of Lin Feng? What a slippery loach. Lin Feng chuckled. The question is, can you run away? The purple gas barrier that was originally like a cloud suddenly became extremely condensed, as if it had turned into a solid state. With this change in the purple gas barrier, Ma Ji immediately felt that his originally smooth path had been blocked. He could not move at all. He could not even twist and struggle, let alone pass through it. It was like a person who was swimming in the water. Suddenly, the water around him turned into ice cubes, freezing him inside. The insect was surrounded by rosin. After the rosin cooled and solidified, the insect was still alive. Right now, Ma Ji was like a small insect trapped inside. At this time, Wang Lin came in front of the purple gas. He looked at Ma Ji, who was trapped in the purple gas. He frowned and said, "This is my negligence." Lin Feng smiled. "It's okay. You just need to learn from it." Appearing from thin air, Lin Feng waved his sleeve and kept Ma Ji and the purple gas. He then came to the side of the Fei Lian beast. On the back of the Fei Lian beast, Yang Qing had been forcing himself to stay awake. After seeing Lin Feng, he let out a long sigh. This time, Yang Qing has been saved by Senior again. Yang Qing is extremely grateful. After saying this, Yang Qing's head tilted and he fainted. Lin Feng patted the back of the Fei Lian beast. The Fei Lian beast carried Wang Lin and Yang Qing and followed behind Lin Feng back to Yujing Mountain. When they reached the top of the mountain, Lin Feng pointed a finger at Yang Qing's forehead. Majestic spiritual energy flowed into Yang Qing's sea of energy, helping him recover his almost depleted spiritual energy. At the same time, it nourished his spirit. At this moment, Yang Qing's spirit was already cracking inch by inch like a cracked porcelain. He was only one step away from completely shattering. Under the nourishment of the large amount of spiritual energy in Yujing Mountain, Yang Qing's almost shattered spirit recovered rapidly. After a long time, Yang Qing finally regained consciousness. After a short moment of confusion, his eyes regained focus. When he saw Lin Feng standing in front of him, he immediately turned over and kowtowed. "Thank you, Senior, for saving me this time." Lin Feng waved his hand. "Break and build. This is your opportunity. Grab hold of it yourself." Hearing this, Yang Qing woke up. "Thank you, Senior." He immediately calmed down and focused on guiding the spiritual energy into his sea of energy. In his sea of energy, a large amount of dark green water suddenly appeared. It was the lunar true water. After absorbing the spiritual energy, the lunar true water grew stronger. Lin Feng's divine telekinesis entered Yang Qing's body. Silently, he observed the lunar true water. Sensing something, he used the great sun brilliant heaven scripture that he had just comprehended to verify it with the lunar true water in front of him. The solar true fire and the solar true water were a pair of archenemies. Both of them walked on the extremes. However, in all living things in the world, yin and yang were always opposed to each other, yet they were also closely related. With the help of the great sun brilliant heaven scripture, Lin Feng had a deeper understanding of the principles and concepts contained in the lunar true water. His thoughts gradually began to guide the lunar true water in Yang Qing's body to circulate in a strange pattern. Yang Qing had obtained the lunar true water for some time. She had also discovered some principles and patterns from it. In the process of the lunar true water's circulation, she compared it with Lin Feng's comprehension. They complemented each other and gradually merged into one. In the end, all sorts of strange runes appeared in the lunar true water and gathered to form a Tao formula. The magic power in Lin Feng's body also circulated according to this Tao formula. After a long time, Lin Feng's right hand formed a seal. A drop of warm, dark green water that was like jade condensed on his fingertip. This method can be called the lunar true solution. A smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. He thought, as long as I fill in the missing parts of the Book of the Nation, all the materials will be complete. He turned his head to look in the direction of the mysterious heaven-time light region. Xiao Yan and the other two were in seclusion there. Just a little bit more and my plan can be carried out smoothly. Now, everything is ready. I'm only missing one thing. Lin Feng looked at Yang Qing again. The lunar true water in the young man's body was becoming stronger. In the end, it actually flew out of the Qi Sea and built a high platform. This time, Yang Qing firmly grasped this opportunity. With Lin Feng's help, he also successfully comprehended the true meaning of the lunar true solution. Finally, he could truly control the lunar true water in his body. I'll lend you a hand. Lin Feng smiled and pointed with his finger. A mysterious heaven treasure leaf fell and turned into a ray of treasure light. It fused into the top of Yang Qing's head. Yang Qing's body trembled. The spirit platform in the Qi Sea continued to rise, layer by layer, until it reached the 9th layer. Grade 1 Spirit Platform. It was a Grade 1 spirit platform that was completely dark green in color and filled with a profound power concept. Lin Feng looked at Yang Qing and was a little surprised. It looks like it's even easier than when Yu Hongyan established the spirit platform. He took out the talent detector and scanned Yang Qing. His eyes instantly widened. Chapter 204. Yu Hongyan's 4 innate potential stats were 8 points in bone aptitude, 8 points in comprehension, 7 points in willpower, and 7 points in luck. Among them, bone aptitude and comprehension were both 8 points, which was already very rare. However, if it wasn't for Lin Feng's help with the mysterious heavenly treasure leaf, the little girl might have only obtained a second-grade spirit platform. Even with Lin Feng's help, it was still extremely dangerous for her to obtain a first-grade spirit platform. However, it didn't seem very difficult for Yang Qing to obtain a first-grade spirit platform. At the very least, it was much easier than Lin Feng had expected. It even made him wonder when a first-grade spirit platform had become so worthless. The genius concentration camp at the Taishu Temple didn't only have first-grade spirit platforms. It was true that the Taoist magic Yang Qing was practicing was no longer the second-grade Taoist magic of his small sect, the Water Cloud Cave. The scripture of extreme Yin was a notch higher than Yu Hongyan's great destruction true fire art. However, Yang Qing's first-grade spiritual platform was still abnormally easy. This made Lin Feng subconsciously take out the talent detector to scan Yang Qing. It was only when the scan started that Lin Feng remembered that Yang Qing had a master. However, the talent detector gave Yang Qing's innate potential value. Lin Feng clicked his tongue in wonder. What's going on? Something happened to Yang Qing's master too. It was the case for Yu Hongyan, and now it was the same for Yang Qing. Lin Feng was suddenly a little stunned. Could it be that I'm also fated to be a jinx, and everyone who is related to me will be unlucky? This discovery made Lin Feng unhappy. Although it was very likely that he was also a person with great luck, being a jinx was really not a good thing. Especially when it made Lin Feng think of the label, destined to be alone for life, it made him shudder. Are you kidding me? I don't want that. Forcefully shaking his head, Lin Feng comforted himself in his heart, it's probably just that I'm more fated with the various cursed and lonely stars. That must be it. Putting aside the messy thoughts in his mind, Lin Feng began to pay attention to Yang Qing's various data. If he didn't look, he wouldn't have known. When he saw Yang Qing's data, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly widened. His root bone was 9 points, and so was his perception. Fuck. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Yang Qing, who was in a meditative state. His heart was in turmoil. You are going against the heavens. 9 points of root bone and 9 points of comprehension. Adding up to 18 points, what did this mean? Just look at the others. The little guy's root bone was 10 points, and his perception was 8 points, adding up to 18 points. Xiao Yan's bone frame was 8 points and his perception was 9 points, adding up to 17 points. Zhu Yi's bone frame was 7 points and his perception was 9 points, adding up to 16 points. Wang Lin. Forget it, in front of Wang Lin, don't mention the bone frame, we can still be good friends. In addition, among the people with higher potential that Lin Feng had probed, Xiao Yan's main wife, Xiao Zhen, had a root bone frame of 9 points and a perception of 8 points, adding up to 17 points. Yu Hongyan's bone frame was 8 points and his perception was 8 points, adding up to 16 points. In short, Yang Qing's bone frame and perception were both 9 points, which meant that in terms of pure innate talent, he could even look down on the two destined sons of heaven, Xiao Yan and Zhu Yi, not to mention others. Lin Feng stared at Yang Qing. You really don't show your true colors. According to your rhythm, if your will and luck are also. Wait. Luck was nothing much, 8 points. It was not as good as Zhu Yi, but it was not worse than Xiao Yan, Xiao Budian and Wang Lin. No wonder he could pick up Taiyin true water from millions of soldiers. But your will of 5 points, what does it mean? Lin Feng stared blankly at Yang Qing's data, feeling a little messy in the wind. His fiery heart felt as if someone had poured a basin of cold water on it. Lin Feng looked up at Yang Qing's calm face, and his heart was tangled. 5 points of will, 5 points of will. Lin Feng shook his head and smiled bitterly. 5 points of will was seriously not enough. This showed that Yang Qing's psychological quality had a big problem. It was not to say that he had a glass heart, but when he encountered setbacks and difficulties, he would easily have the mentality of retreat and fear of difficulties. Moreover, his emotions were easily fluctuating. For example, he was easily provoked by others, easily sentimental, and would care too much about the views of others. People with high will, when faced with others' belittling, first thought was to prove themselves and fight back against the other party's ridicule. When people with low will were questioned by the outside world, they would first doubt themselves, then become less confident, and even feel inferior. Lin Feng thought of his previous contact with Yang Qing. This young man's character was gentle, even a little soft, and there was a lack of confidence and inferiority complex. Such a low will seriously affect his future achievements. Lin Feng sighed. 5 points of will almost indicated that Yang Qing would waste half of his super high root bone and comprehension talent. If there were no accidents, Yang Qing's future results would be far lower than what he should have achieved. Lin Feng looked at Yang Qing with a gloomy expression. You and Wang Lin are the complete opposite of each other. Root bone, 9, comprehension, 9, will, 5, fortune, 8. The total value of his talent potential had reached 31 points, which was even higher than Yu Hongyan. However, if the two of them were to develop naturally, Yang Qing would definitely be surpassed by Yu Hongyan. Root bone and comprehension determined the lower limit of one's achievements, while will and fortune determined the upper limit of one's achievements. After stabilizing his spirit platform in his qi, Yang Qing opened his eyes and looked at Lin Feng, bowing. Yang Qing will never forget senior's continuous help. Lin Feng put aside the conflict in his heart and started to converse with Yang Qing. From Yang Qing, he found out that after they separated, they encountered the Fire Crow Demon Commander. Lin Feng also sighed. After escaping from the Fire Crow Demon Commander, Yang Qing returned to his sect's Water Cloud Cave and truthfully reported what had happened to the sect's elders. Who knew that because of this, the news was leaked, and the Wind God sect knew that he had been in contact with Lin Feng. Lin Feng sighed. It was I who dragged you down. Yang Qing shook his head. How can I blame Senior? The Wind God sect is really too overbearing, and they have ulterior motives. Lin Feng asked, how is your sect now? Yang Qing's expression was sorrowful. The entire Water Cloud Cave was destroyed. Master, Grandmaster, Martial Uncle, and all the senior and junior brothers were killed. Lin Feng frowned. Also the Wind God sect. Yang Qing shook his head. Not so. Before the Wind God sect came, the Water Cloud Cave had already met with a great calamity. I just happened to be out at the time, so I escaped. He recalled. At that time, I saw a green flame flashing in the sect's cave from afar. By the time I arrived, the flame had already disappeared, and the Water Cloud Cave had already been burned to the ground. Green flame? The first thought that came to Lin Feng's mind was one of the 7 great flames in the world, the Ksitagarbha true brilliance. Among the many spiritual flames in the great heaven primordial world, the most famous was the Ksitagarbha true brilliance. This flame was the essence of the earth fire, and its color was light green. Lin Feng thought, the Ksitagarbha true brilliance, the Ksitagarbha true brilliance. Yang Qing's voice was sorrowful and she was on the verge of tears. I was collecting the corpses of my fellow disciples when the wind god sect came knocking on my door to capture me. I escaped all the way and some of the corpses were not even buried yet. Lin Feng sighed and looked at Yang Qing, not knowing what to say. He really couldn't say such nonsense as condolences. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng sent a voice transmission to Miao Shihao, asking him to come over. After a brief introduction of the situation, he said, Elder Jinghua, please accompany him to the Water Cloud Cave to help his fellow sect members rest in peace. Sect Master, you are really kind-hearted. I didn't choose you in vain. Miao Shihao covered his mouth and smiled. He looked at Yang Qing and sighed, you are also a good man who values relationships. Forget it, Brother Shihao, I will escort you on this trip. Before leaving, Miao Shihao had a rare serious look, looking at Lin Feng and saying, Sect Master, the Wind God Sect Master is someone who has already attained primordial spirit. Even though he is in seclusion all year round and does not care about matters, but if something big really happens in the Wind God sect, it will definitely alarm him. Don't forget this person. Lin Feng smiled and nodded without saying a word. He watched Miao Shihao leave with Yang Qing. Suddenly, Lin Feng sensed something and looked in the direction of the mysterious Heaven Time Light Grotto Heaven in surprise. The system notification also sounded at the same time. Congratulations to the host's personal disciple, Shi Tianhao, for advancing to the Golden Elixir period. Congratulations to the host's personal disciple, Zhu Yi, for advancing to the Golden Elixir period. As half of the host's personal disciples have successfully formed their gold core, the host is specially rewarded by the system. The host's current cultivation base has increased by a small realm. Lin Feng smiled, I was waiting for you. In the blink of an eye, Lin Feng felt a chilly wind hovering above his head. From the middle stage of the Golden Elixir to the late stage of the Golden Elixir, the chilly wind tribulation had arrived. The spiritual energy gathered by the cultivator's tribulation would turn into a chilly wind and blow directly from the Baihui acupoint on the top of the head. In the blink of an eye, the soul would be blown away. But at this moment, Lin Feng only felt that the chilly wind blowing over his head was like a cool breeze. Although it was fierce and ferocious, it didn't leave the slightest trace in his mind. At this moment, his expression was calm, as if the chilly wind that could blow away the soul didn't exist at all. The purple gold jade core in his body flickered and the chilly wind revolved around it. The Yin fire tribulation was to burn away the impurities in the golden elixir, while the Yin wind tribulation was to polish the flaws on the surface of the golden elixir. After going through these 2 checkpoints, the cultivator's golden elixir could reach the perfect and leakless realm and make preparations for forming the nascent soul. Lin Feng's soul suddenly shook and he opened his eyes. In the blink of an eye, it was as if hundreds of millions of years had passed. The chilly wind surrounding his body stopped in an instant, and time and space completely froze at this moment. In the next moment, the violent and sinister storm had changed back to the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth. There was no transition time and process at all. Suddenly, there was a sense of right and proper, as if the heaven and earth were the law and everything was natural. Lin Feng calmly looked at his golden elixir. A jade core was spinning, flashing with a purple brilliance. Its perfectly round surface didn't have any flaws. The late stage of the golden elixir was completed. At this moment, a new system notification sounded in Lin Feng's ears. Please choose the basic reference Tao technique and create the 2nd chapter of the Heavenly Tao Sutra, the 4 Symbols chapter. When Lin Feng heard this, he immediately smiled. Chapter 205. Lin Feng's consciousness entered the system. In the Tao technique creation system, in the dark void, the sky, earth, wind, thunder, water, fire, mountain, and swamp, 8 different scenes stood in 8 different directions. Above the 8 trigrams, earth, water, fire, and wind were mixed together in the void, constantly intertwining and swaying. Among them, there was an aura of disaster that opened up chaos and shattered the universe. Resetting earth, water, fire, and wind, the creation will stabilize, and the world will return to the right track. Lin Feng understood, and then he silently thought about the Tao technique. The first Tao technique he thought about was the Wind God Sect's treasure, the Wind God Formless technique. After capturing Gao Fan, Zhang Sen, and the other disciples of the Wind God sect, and swallowing Taoist Lai Feng's golden elixir, Lin Feng had already obtained the complete Wind God Formless technique. This Tao technique could be used to cultivate the 9 heavens formless wind, and it was considered a top-notch wind-type Tao technique, far surpassing the heavenly wind scripture that Lin Feng integrated when he created the 8 trigrams universal way scripture. As expected, after providing the Wind God Formless technique to the system, the scattered hurricanes in the void quickly calmed down and settled down. Next is the fire. Lin Feng thought about the Great Sun Brilliant Sky scripture, which could be used to cultivate the true fire of the sun, and it was also an outstanding fire-type Tao technique. After the Great Sun Brilliant Sky scripture, it was followed by the lunar insight that Lin Feng had just comprehended. As a Tao technique that could cultivate the lunar true water, the lunar insight and the Great Sun Brilliant Sky scripture could be said to be outstanding. After thinking about these 2 Tao techniques, the water and fire images in the void also calmed down. At this moment, only the last image, earth, was left in the void, and it was still in chaos. Lin Feng took a deep breath, and his consciousness exited the system. He took out the remnant of the Book of the State that he had obtained from the auction at the Vast Ocean Dharma Conference, and at the same time, took out the Heaven and Earth mirror. After he obtained the incomplete piece of the Book of the God and Earth, Lin Feng had carefully analyzed the energy contained within each of the 2, and the subtle similarities within it allowed Lin Feng to confirm that this treasure, the Universe Mirror, was precisely refined by a great senior that cultivated the Tao art of the World Book all those years ago. The Mirror of Heaven and Earth was damaged, and the Book of the Kismet that he had obtained from the auction was also missing. However, by comparing the 2, Lin Feng had a certain degree of confidence that he could deduce the complete appearance of the Book of the Kismet of Heaven and Earth. At that time, the Universe Mirror could also be repaired. After obtaining the complete Tao art of the Book of Heaven and Earth, Lin Feng was able to successfully create the second chapter of his Tao art, the Book of 4 Symbols. It was a Taoist technique above the 8 trigrams myriad heavens great Taoist scripture. The basic conditions have been met. Lin Feng nodded and crushed a sound transmission crystal. The voice of Heavenly Trade Pavilion's manager, Song Fu, came from the light. Sect Master Lin. Lin Feng said calmly, "Please spread a message for me, Mr. Song. I hope everyone in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain knows about it." Song Fu said, "Please speak, Sect Master Lin. Starting from today, my Xianmen Tianzong will open its doors in Shazhou City half a year later and recruit disciples. I hope that Heavenly Trade Pavilion can help me spread this news. I will pay all the expenses." After a moment of silence, Song Fu suddenly said, "Sect Master Lin, the Mount Shu Sword Sect, the Celeritas Sword Sect, and the Blaze Sword Sect, these 3 major sects are all searching for your news, searching for the location of your sect." Lin Feng smiled. "No matter, to have a fellow Taoist come to attend the ceremony, my Xian Gate is greatly honored." Song Fu replied, "Since it's like this, then my Heavenly Trade Pavilion will accept this business. We will definitely not disappoint Sect Master Lin." After the communication was cut off, Song Fu turned his head to look at Old Tan beside him. What if the Mount Shu Sword Sect, in order to curb the development of Lin Feng and his Xianmen Tianzong, pay an even higher price to request us to restrict the spread of news related to Xianmen Tianzong? Old Tan said lightly, "Business is business, the first thing we have to talk about is credibility. The business that has already been accepted must be completed as agreed. No matter how high the other party's price is, we cannot lose credibility." Song Fu nodded his head. "If he wants to recruit disciples in Shazhou City, will it affect us?" Old Tan smiled. I feel that he will be one of our main clients in the future. The prerequisite is that he can really stand firm. Song Fu also smiled. What Old Tan said is exactly the same as what I thought. Since it's like this, then I will mobilize all of the resources in the pavilion and completely build up momentum for the master of this Xian Gate. After ending the conversation with Song Fu, Lin Feng smiled faintly. Mount Shu Sword Sect? He turned his head to look at the mysterious Heaven-Time Light Paradise. Xiao Budian and Zhu Yi had already come out of the paradise, their spiritual power and aura stable and condensed. At first glance, they did not seem to have the vast spiritual power fluctuations of when they were in the foundation establishment stage, like a sea of smoke. However, in reality, the spiritual power and mystiques of the two of them were far stronger than when they were in the foundation establishment stage. Congratulations to the host's personal disciple, Xiao Yan, for advancing to the Golden Elixir period. At this moment, the system notification rang in Lin Feng's ears again. Lin Feng smiled. Xiao Yan had only entered the paradise to form his core after obtaining the Great Sun Brilliant Heaven Dao Cannon. He had started slightly later than Xiao Budian and Zhu Yi, but his speed was not much slower. In the mysterious Heaven-Time Light Paradise, flames suddenly flashed, and a figure flew out. Behind him, a huge pair of wings spread out. However, the colors of his wings were completely different. One side was pure gold, while the other was bluish-purple. Taking a closer look, his wings were actually completely composed of flames, and they were burning fiercely. Xiao Budian, Zhu Yi, and Wang Lin were all amazed. Zhu Yi said, "Eldest senior brother has refined both the nether evil brilliance and the true sun fire." Wang Lin nodded. It seems that after eldest senior brother has advanced to the Golden Elixir period, he can finally control the nether evil brilliance in the evil brilliance overlord sword. Xiao Yan withdrew the golden and blue flame wings on his back and landed in front of Lin Feng and the others. He first bowed to Lin Feng. "Disciple greets master." Lin Feng nodded and said with a smile, "Very good, Xiao Yan. Well done. At least I didn't disappoint master." Xiao Yan laughed mischievously. He looked at Zhu Yi and the little guy and sighed, "Too bad, I was a step slower than you guys. The treasures that master promised, I won't have a share." Xiao Budian and the others all laughed. Lin Feng said, "It's a pity that Xiao Yi is just a little slower." Zhu Yi sighed inwardly. Master has never entered the mysterious Heaven-Time Light Paradise before, but he knows our cultivation progress like the back of his hand. He also felt a little regretful. Xiao Budian had condensed the pill cauldron and advanced to the late stage of the foundation establishment realm later than them because of the mutation of his beer platform. However, in the end, Xiao Budian was the fastest to form his core, and he was only a moment faster than him. "Little junior brother, congratulations." Zhu Yi quickly cheered up and congratulated Xiao Budian. Xiao Yan and Wang Lin also congratulated Xiao Budian. Xiao Budian chuckled and said, "Master, where's the reward?" "No hurry, no hurry." Lin Feng said, "Let master take a look at your golden elixir first." Lin Feng split off 3 strands of divine sense and entered their bodies. 3 golden elixir flashing with a dazzling purple radiance appeared in front of Lin Feng's eyes. This made him breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they're all purple cores. Next, Lin Feng discovered that these 3 golden elixir were still different from each other. Other than the purple light flashing on Xiao Yan's golden elixir, the entire golden elixir was almost transparent like colored glass. Inside his glass-like golden elixir, there were 2 clearly separated flames, each occupying one side and quietly burning. One side was bright gold, and the flames were like thousands of dazzling golden rays gathered together. It was the sun's true fire. The other side was dark bluish-purple, and from it revealed a powerful force that could destroy the world and sweep away everything. It was the netherworld evil flame. Very good. On the basis of a purple core, the golden elixir has a strange phenomenon. This is a better performance than a purple core. Lin Feng nodded and looked at Zhu Yi's golden elixir again. In the center of the purple light, there was a black and white mixed pill, half black and half white. Looking closely at Zhu Yi's golden elixir, it was half black and half white, but it blended well. It seemed to be a whole, but the black and white colors were clearly separated. In the golden elixir, the two forces of light and darkness were extremely balanced. They intertwined and promoted each other, as if they had unlimited growth potential. Xiao Yi already has a very deep understanding of the principles and concepts of light and darkness. There was no problem with Zhu Yi's golden elixir. At this time, Lin Feng was completely relieved. He looked at the tiny tot again, but after seeing it clearly, Lin Feng was a little stunned. An early-stage golden elixir cultivator had not experienced the Yin Wind Tribulation and Yin Fire Tribulation, so the golden elixir would inevitably have flaws and impurities. However, the tiny tot's golden elixir was too strange, wasn't it? On the surface of the huge golden elixir, there were 9 big black holes. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng was shocked. He was afraid that there was a problem with the tiny tot's core formation. This kind of thing was not rare. Some cultivators had limited abilities. Although they could barely form the golden elixir was extremely fragile and full of loopholes. With a slight impact, the core would immediately break and the cultivator would die. But those are all yellow elixirs. The tiny tot has formed a purple elixir, so that kind of situation shouldn't happen, right? Lin Feng calmed himself down and carefully observed. This time, he saw something. The tiny tot's 9 apertures golden elixir was constantly absorbing spiritual energy from the 9 holes. It was not that there were loopholes in the golden elixir, and its own spiritual energy was dissipating. Instead, it was like a human breathing. With each breath, it was constantly absorbing the spiritual energy from the outside world into the golden elixir. At the same time, the gas that was expelled actually contained the impurities of the golden elixir itself. The tiny tot's 9 apertures golden elixir could actually expel the impurities from its body without the help of the Yin Fire Tribulation. Lin Feng clicked his tongue in wonder. Good boy, the 9 cauldrons as one. It is indeed extraordinary. After checking the 3 disciples' golden elixir and finding that there were no problems, Lin Feng was completely relieved. He opened his mouth and a green light flew out and landed in the air. The green light dissipated, revealing a 3-legged cauldron. It was the bronze void cauldron. The bronze void cauldron landed in front of the tiny tot. The tiny tot giggled and stretched out his finger to touch it. The bronze void cauldron turned into a green light and drilled into his fingertip. Lin Feng instructed, take some time to refine it and carefully figure out the concept of the power within. The tiny tot smiled. Got it, master. He stole a glance at Xiao Yan and Zhu Yi and laughed mischievously. His appearance was so despicable that he had no friends. Stinking brat, deliberately angering us? Xiao Yan laughed and scolded. He grabbed the tiny tot who wanted to escape. I haven't played Little Bird in a long time. You asked for it today. Zhu Yi and Wang Lin looked at each other and laughed. Their childish hearts stirred as they went forward to grab the tiny tot. Lin Feng watched them play around and shook his head. He couldn't help but laugh. With a thought, his consciousness entered the spatial ring and arrived in front of the little Taotai, Tunten. When Tunten saw him, it immediately cheered. You finally came. Chapter 206. Tunten anxiously looked at Lin Feng, as if saying, you know what I mean. Lin Feng naturally understood. With a faint smile, he removed the heaven cage sigil and took out half of the gunmetal tiger king's body and gave it to Tunten. Happiness came too suddenly, catching the Taotai unprepared. With everything going so smoothly, Tunten was instead a little hesitant. It circled around the gunmetal tiger king's body, thinking, it couldn't have been poisoned, right? Lin Feng looked at her with a smile. He clearly knew what the little loli was thinking. Smiling, he said, if you don't want it, I'll take it back. Tunten panicked. It pounced on the gunmetal tiger king's body, vowing to protect the food in its mouth. I'm a Taotai. Sigh, I'm not afraid of poison at all. All poisonous things can become my food. Tunton patted its little head. I'm always tricked by this guy. Even I'm confused. Thinking of this, Tunton suddenly became spirited. It let out a cry like an infant's cry and directly revealed its true form. A goat's body and a human's face. Its eyes were under its armpits, and it had tiger teeth and human claws. Its current appearance was not cute at all. It pounced on the gunmetal tiger king's body and opened its mouth wide to eat. Seeing its evil eating appearance, Lin Feng curled his lips. For the sake of eating, you don't care about anything. The Taotia's innate ability was indeed ferocious. Although Tunton was only left with a strand of its soul, it still quickly devoured the abnormally hard gunmetal tiger king's body. After eating half of the gunmetal tiger king's body, the little Taotai clearly showed some changes. Her originally transparent soul body began to flash with a dazzling golden light. Her entire body was plated with a layer of metallic luster, making her look incomparably dazzling. She closed her eyes and hummed. The golden light was constantly being transformed, and her originally transparent body gradually turned from illusory to solid. During this process, a strong masculine blood chi was emitted from her body, as if it was a real body made of flesh and blood. A long while later, Tunton suddenly burst into laughter. I finally have a physical body again. With a shake of her body, she transformed back into her human form. She still had the appearance of a little girl, with fair skin and tender skin. Unlike the previous spirit phantasm, the current Tunton exuded a faint fragrance. Her rosy pink skin was so tender that it seemed as if water could drip from it. Although it was not on the level of a demon king, it was already at the peak of the demon commander realm. It was only a step away from forming its demon nascent and becoming a demon king. Tunton stretched his body and lifted his eyes to look at Lin Feng. He extended his chubby little hand and said fiercely, "Hand over the true sun fire and I'll forget about you imprisoning me. Otherwise, humph." Lin Feng looked at her with a faint smile. "You silly girl, why do you always forget the pain when the scar is healed?" He spread his hand. It was no longer the heaven cage sigil, but endless purple chi transformed into an independent little world that enveloped Tunton. "It's different from before." Tunton shouted and waved his little hand. Rays of sharp blade-like golden light appeared. It was the innate ability of the gunmetal tiger clan. But when the golden light landed on the purple chi, it was unable to break it. Tunton wrinkled its little nose when it saw this. The gunmetal tiger clan is still too useless. They are far from being able to compare to their ancestor, the white tiger clan. She suddenly opened her mouth and took a deep breath. Her mouth was like a bottomless pit, continuously absorbing the purple chi into her body. Tunton's eyes lit up as the purple chi entered her body. Good stuff. Rich in spiritual chi and delicious. I can't eat enough of this no matter how much you have. Lin Feng smiled. There's no free lunch in this world. Tunton was slightly taken aback. Then, he discovered that the purple chi she swallowed was not directly converted into her demonic power like before. Although the purple chi was swallowed, it could not be digested and remained in its original state in her body. With a thought from Lin Feng, the purple chi that Tunton had swallowed abruptly condensed into a ball in her body, transforming into an independent little world. Tunton looked inside his body and could even see the creation of the world and the changes of all living things in this little world. No matter how she activated the innate ability of the Taotai clan, she could not break open this independent little world. Lin Feng smiled. Eat too much, be careful not to get a stomach ache. The little world of purple chi in Tunton's body suddenly changed. All living things aged and decayed, heading towards destruction. The little world also entered nirvana. The little world of purple chi was suddenly like a punctured balloon, rapidly shriveling. Not good. Tunton turned pale with fright. She discovered that the little world of purple chi was collapsing and the entire world was about to be destroyed. Lin Feng had created a little world with his magic power to simulate the great disaster of Nirvana. It was terrifying. How terrifying was the power of Nirvana? Even a simulation was enough to make one tremble in fear. Tunten did not doubt that if the little world really collapsed in her body would also be destroyed by the power of Nirvana. At the juncture of life and death, the little lowly did not hesitate to give in. In any case, she was used to being humiliated in front of Lin Feng, so the change in her attitude was extremely natural. She looked pitifully at Lin Feng. "I know I was wrong, please forgive me this time." Lin Feng smiled. "Why do I feel that it's better to completely destroy you? That way some people will always bite the hand that feeds them and cause trouble for me." Tunten pouted. "You locked me up for so long and you don't even allow me to complain." She sighed in her heart. "I thought I could resist, but who knew I would be suppressed with a flip of my hand. It seems that even my mother may not be able to do anything to this guy. It's just as he said, only my father can make him care." Lin Feng was just scaring her and letting her know who was in charge here. He did not really want to kill her. With a thought, he stopped the Nirvana collapse of the little world, turned back into purple chi, and drilled out of Tunten's mouth. Tunten stole a glance at him, its eyes like a child who had stolen candy and was caught by an adult, but was still staring at the candy and secretly drooling. Lin Feng smiled. "Since I said I would give you the true sun fire, I won't go back on my word. But you'd better be obedient. As the saying goes, one's hands are tied and one's mouth is tied. You should be aware of this, right?" Tunten secretly curled its lips. It had always eaten when it wanted to and wanted to eat again. However, the situation was stronger than it was, so Tunten obediently nodded and revealed a fawning smile. Of course, of course. How could Lin Feng not know that it was not convinced? But it didn't matter. If it dared to argue, he would beat it until it was convinced. Lin Feng flicked his finger and a puff of true sun fire landed in front of Tunten. Tunten cheered and swallowed the true sun fire. After swallowing, Tunten closed its eyes and assumed a strange posture. It seemed to be a cultivation method unique to the Taotai race. Her stomach rose and fell as she circulated her innate abilities to the extreme. Even Tunten had to be careful in the face of the true sun fire in order to refine it and truly make it its own. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. Silently, he waited for her to finish refining it. After a long while, Tunten suddenly opened its eyes. Dazzling golden flames emerged from its pupils like needles. "Blackwater mysterious underworld, you are no match for me this time." Tunten suddenly threw its head back and laughed proudly. "Unless you hide in the mysterious underworld race's lair and don't come out, I will definitely mate with you." Cough 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 cough. Lin Feng nearly choked on his own saliva. Although he already knew why Tunten had obtained the true sun fire, Lin Feng still frowned when he heard such a straightforward declaration. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at Tunten. "That's all you've got?" After laughing, Tunten turned to look at Lin Feng and said with a serious expression, "Can you let me go back to the vast heaven wasteland? I haven't seen my parents in a long time and I miss them very much." Lin Feng unceremoniously exposed her. "Don't give me that. You're thinking about the Blackwater mysterious underworld and are going to kidnap him to do it with you, right?" "Mating, it's mating." Tunten corrected him. Then, she saw Lin Feng staring at her with a half-smile and immediately realized that she had let the cat out of the bag. She tapped the ground with the tips of her toes and lowered her head in embarrassment. "I mainly miss my parents and the rest. Also, I'm going to find the Blackwater mysterious underworld being." Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. "Don't be in a hurry to leave. As you said, you won't be able to fulfill your wish if the Blackwater mysterious underworld being hides in the mysterious underworld race's lair. You have to recover your former Demon King strength before you can leave," Tunten said anxiously. "What if Hufen gets there first?" Tunten said anxiously. Lin Feng glanced at her and smiled. His smile was very unscrupulous, like a grandmother wolf trying to trick Little Red Riding Hood. He let out a heavy sigh. Oh. That's a pity. I still have a lot of delicious things here for you. For example, the true Een water, the nether evil flame, the 9 heavens formless astral wind, and a third of the gung metal tiger king's demon nascent essence. Without waiting for Lin Feng to finish speaking, Tunton pounced over and hugged Lin Feng's trousers, nodding repeatedly. I'll stay, I'll stay, I'll stay. After stabilizing the little girl, Lin Feng's consciousness withdrew from the ring's space. The little guy was still fleeing all over Yujing Mountain to avoid the tragic fate of being caught by Xiao Yan and the others. Lin Feng shook his head and laughed. Then, he turned his attention to the remnant piece of the Book of the Kismet and the Universe Mirror. He pondered quietly, and his entire mind sank into the concept of thick Earth's vigorous power. The Earth was silent and heavy. It seemed ordinary, but its power was incomparably vast. Heaven and Earth. The sky was vast and boundless, while the Earth carried the vast and boundless sky. The Earth was ordinary, but it could bear everything and contain infinity. Lin Feng suddenly smiled and reached out a finger to touch the universe mirror. An earthy yellow light flashed in the universe mirror and enveloped the remnant piece of the Book of the Kismet. Countless characters and scriptures emerged from the remnant piece of the Book of the Kismet, but they were obviously incomplete and not coherent. However, under the illumination of the universe mirror, the total number of characters rapidly increased and gradually filled up. The universe mirror also trembled slightly, and a simple and mysterious character gradually appeared on the mirror's surface. Society. Chapter 207. Society was the god of Earth, condensing the power of the Earth. When the word society appeared on the universe mirror, the entire Dharma artifact's aura changed. Silently sensing the changes in the heaven and earth mirror, Lin Feng suddenly stretched out his finger and pointed. It was a spell of the two realms' wonderful void technique. The edge of the replaced space was at the center of the universe mirror. Under normal circumstances, Lin Feng's spell would have split the universe mirror in half. However, at this moment, a thick earthy yellow light suddenly appeared in the universe mirror. It was almost condensed into a substance and resisted the powerful destructive power brought by the void rend. The space at the center of the mirror of heaven and earth swayed like water for a long time, but then calmed down again. The space was not replaced. The magic power of the mirror of heaven and earth forcibly stabilized the void, which prevented Lin Feng's space of two realms' wonderful technique to play its due role. Not only was Lin Feng not depressed, but a smile appeared on his face instead. Although this was not its main function, it was able to freeze the void, which meant that the heaven and earth mirror was a genuine Yuanying stage magical item. The mirror of heaven and earth that he obtained all those years ago had been repaired by the galaxy's sand and strengthened by the mountain god Jade. Today, it was refined once more with the Book of Heaven and Earth, allowing it to regain its former splendor. As expected, it's not a simple thing. Lin Feng smiled and returned his attention to the Book of Heaven and Earth. In the void, countless characters arranged and combined ceaselessly. They were originally incomplete, but now with the help of the Heaven and Earth mirror, their flaws were finally mended and condensed into a complete Tao technique. The Tao formula flowed into Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng calmly pondered over this Tao art. Although he was in the void, his entire being seemed to be connected to the earth. Even Lin Feng's temperament became heavy. He opened his eyes and said, "The Book of Heaven and Earth is indeed extraordinary." In the Tao art system, the last unstable phenomenon in the void, earth, had finally calmed down from the chaos. The earth, water, fire, and wind phenomena all returned to normal, and the sound of the system notification rang in Lin Feng's ears. The number and types of basic reference Tao arts have met the requirements. Begin fusion now. Taoist art fusion begins. Taoist art fusion successful. Beginning creation of the second chapter of the Heavenly Tao Sutra, the Four Symbols chapter. The second chapter of the Heavenly Virtue Scripture, the Four Symbols Heaven Opening Scripture, has been successfully created. An image appeared in Lin Feng's mind. The universe was filled with chaos, and the chaos suddenly shattered. Voila! It was as if a little flame had fallen into boiling oil, and it immediately turned into a raging sea of fire. At first, it was just a tiny bit, but an instant later, it filled the entire chaos-verse. Soon after, the sound of surging water could be heard, surging from within the raging flames, the turbid waves overflowing into the heavens. At the same time, yellow dust billowed, and broken earth and soil were everywhere. The entire chaotic universe had completely lost its balance, and was transformed into a boundless world of water, fire, and wind that surged violently. It was simply unprecedentedly majestic. Silently, Lin Feng looked at the raging earth, water, fire, and wind. In the end, it became more and more intense, but in the midst of the chaos, it gradually reached a strange equilibrium. Finally, a bubble-like thing was born from the turbulence. With a thought from Lin Feng, the bubbles suddenly burst, and two streams of air, one clear and one turbid, leaped out from within. Once these two streams of air appeared, the chaotic earth, water, fire, and wind finally calmed down. The clear air gradually rose, and the turbid air gradually sank. The turbid air gradually sank, becoming thicker and thicker, stable and condensed, condensing into a substance, transforming into the earth, and then evolving into mountains and rivers. The clear air gradually rose, becoming more and more distant, vast and mysterious, transforming into the sky, and then evolving into the stars, the sun, and the moon. The heaven and earth faced each other, and the creation was born, and a world was formed. Silently, Lin Feng tried to figure out the concept within, and he had an epiphany. Shattering the universe, splitting the chaos, resetting the earth, water, fire, and wind, splitting open the heavens and earth, and creating a world. This is the true meaning of the four symbols heaven opening scripture. Now, I can finally carry out the last step of the plan. Lin Feng's consciousness retreated from the system space. Suddenly, he felt something, and he raised his head to look in the direction of the void. There, lightning flashed faintly, and an extremely oppressive and terrifying aura enveloped the peak of Jade Capital Mountain. Sect leader, my lightning tribulation is coming. Kang Nanhua's voice rang in his ear. Lin Feng came to the edge of the cliff at the peak of Jade Capital Mountain and looked down. There was a cave on the cliff, and a vigorous and thick aura of magical energy came from it. That was the cave that Kang Nanhua had chosen. Focus on dealing with the lightning tribulation. You don't have to worry about anything else, I will protect you. Lin Feng said, are you confident about this lightning tribulation? The last of the three heavenly tribulations of the golden elixir was the lightning tribulation. If one could survive it, one could form the Yuanying, and from then on, fly through the void, travel tens of thousands of miles, and live a free and unfettered life. For cultivators, forming the golden elixir was a checkpoint. Once one broke through it, one could live for 1,000 years. From the golden elixir period to the Yuanying period was another checkpoint. If one could successfully form the Yuanying, one's lifespan would increase to 60 cycles, which was 3,600 years. As long as the Yuanying was not damaged, the cultivator's lifespan would not change. A lifespan of 3,600 years could already be considered a long life. However, at the same time, the lightning tribulation was the most dangerous of the three golden elixir tribulations. Countless geniuses and heroes had fallen at this critical checkpoint. Strong magical energy accumulation, high-level golden elixir quality, strong willpower, and even a bit of luck were indispensable. One could only rely on oneself to survive the lightning tribulation, and others could not help. If someone participated, the lightning tribulation would be strengthened accordingly. This was different from the lightning spell cast by cultivators. Even if lightning was summoned from the sky, it could not be compared to the lightning tribulation. This was the true power of heaven and earth. Previously, Zhu Yi had picked up the legacy of a dark cultivator in the Great Hengduan mountain range. That person was a late-stage golden elixir cultivator. He could not withstand the lightning tribulation and was directly struck into charcoal by the lightning. Although Kang Nanhua's Dao technique was profound and his magical energy was vigorous, Lin Feng still had to worry about him. Sect Master, you don't have to worry about me. If we weren't on Yujing Mountain, I would only have a 70% chance of surviving the lightning tribulation. Kang Nanhua smiled and replied, but now, I am confident that I have at least a 90% chance of surviving the lightning tribulation. Lin Feng nodded. If that's the case, then go. I will protect you. Kang Nanhua walked out of the cave and sat cross-legged on a protruding cliff. His Dao technique of the eternal Ganges quicksand incantation was activated to the extreme at this moment. Without any warning, a large crack suddenly appeared in the void. A thick twisting lightning bolt struck towards Kang Nanhua's head. This was how the lightning tribulation was. No matter where you hid, it would break through the void and directly appear in front of you. And a late-stage golden elixir cultivator was about to comprehend the mysteries of space from the power of the lightning tribulation that tore through the void. This was the path that most Yuanying cultivators had to go through to comprehend the mysteries of space. In front of Kang Nanhua, the Ganges sand and primordial true water interweaved and withstood the lightning bolt. His entire body shook violently as he suffered a huge shock, but his Dao heart was still stable. Lin Feng carefully felt the pressure brought by the lightning tribulation. Although he was watching from the side, he could feel the terror of the power of heaven and earth. In the face of this vast and mighty heavenly power, humans felt like they were facing an egg that was pressed down by Mount Tai. They felt like they could be smashed into pieces at any time. Layer after layer of lightning bolts landed on Kang Nanhua's body, but Kang Nanhua was like a reef by the sea. No matter how strong the wind and the waves were, he did not move. For Lin Feng, being able to observe the true face of the lightning tribulation up close before he formed his nascent soul was undoubtedly a precious treasure that couldn't be exchanged for money. Watching Kang Nanhua go through the lightning tribulation, Lin Feng had a feeling in his heart. For a cultivator to build their foundation, they need to be indomitable and unwavering in their determination. To form the golden elixir, they need to see through the great fear between life and death and obtain spiritual sublimation. And forming the nascent soul is a test of a cultivator's temperament. When facing the power of heaven and earth that is like Mount Tai pressing down on an egg, one must still be fearless, unwavering, and unflinching. Cultivation was originally going against the heavens and fighting against fate. The final result was definitely not to become one with heaven and earth. Instead, one had to comprehend the principles of heaven and earth while always maintaining one's independence and ultimately creating one's own world. After understanding this principle, Lin Feng felt his golden elixir start to spin. His mind faintly became one with the void and he could feel heaven and earth gazing at him. He immediately understood. Am I going to undergo the lightning tribulation soon? At this moment, the lightning that bombarded Kang Nanhua gradually calmed down. Kang Nanhua's face was deathly pale, and a clear light suddenly shone brightly above his head. A purple golden elixir floated above his head. The golden elixir that Kang Nanhua formed was also a purple core. However, this purple core was now covered in cracks as if it could shatter at any time. Open. Kang Nanhua's face was pale, but his expression was joyful. He raised his head and blew on his golden elixir. His purple core immediately shone brightly, and a shadow gradually appeared from within the light. It was the image of a newborn baby. However, this baby was sitting cross-legged with both hands forming hand seals. The Ganges river sand and primordial true water continuously spun and revolved around him. When Lin Feng saw this, he thought, this is Kang Nanhua's Yuanying. Kang Nanhua let out a clear whistle, and the Yuanying above him returned to his head. Lin Feng landed beside him and said with a smile, "Congratulations, Nanhua, for successfully forming your nascent soul." Kang Nanhua said with a smile, "I still have to thank Sect Master for inviting me to Mount Yujing. My nascent soul formation was so smooth." Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. He should be the one thanking Kang Nanhua. With Kang Nanhua's experience in forming his nascent soul, he felt much more relaxed. There was no sun or moon in the mountains. Time passed by in a flash. After a period of recuperation, Kang Nanhua had already recovered to his peak condition. His strong mana made it seem like he could break through the void just by standing there. At this moment, Miao Shihao had also brought Yang Qing back to Mount Yujing. After their sex water cloud cave was destroyed, Yang Qing had nowhere else to go. He was naturally very grateful that Lin Feng was willing to let him stay at Mount Yujing. There were very few blessed grotto heavens like Mount Yujing in the entire Great Heaven Primal world. On this day, Lin Feng counted the days and summoned his 4 disciples, Yu Hongyan, Yang Qing, Miao Shihao, and Kang Nanhua to his side. Chapter 208. On the 8th day of the 5th month this year, our sect will open its doors in Sand Continent City, recruiting talents and disciples. After everyone had arrived in front of him, Lin Feng said with a smile, even though there's still quite a bit of time, some preparations need to be done in advance. From today onwards, everyone will follow me to the Sand Continent. Zhu Yi muttered, Master is guarding against people obstructing us? Lin Feng smiled without saying anything, taking out a handful of talismans from his sleeve and distributing them to the people. These are the talisman coins he obtained from the vast Sea Dharma assembly. Among them, Xiao Yan and the other 3 each received 15 purple talismans and 150 vermilion talismans. Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing each received 5 purple talismans and 50 vermilion talismans. Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing were both greatly shocked, not daring to accept it no matter what. Purple talismans are Yuanying talismans, equivalent to the power of 1 strike of an early-stage Yuanying cultivator. Even though it's talisman coins, but over 99% of cultivators won't use it as currency, instead storing it away, using it as a life-saving trump card at a crucial moment. Even if it's vermilion talismans, that's still equivalent to 1 strike of an advanced-stage golden elixir cultivator. For Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing who are only at the foundation establishment stage right now, it's still an earth-shattering power. Whether it's the Society of the Strong Gale or the Cloud Water Cave, all of their assets added together may not even be as many as the talismans Lin Feng has given them this time. Lin Feng said in his heart, entering my Jade Capital Mountain means you're destined to be my Xianmen Tianzong's people, how can I let you guys fly away? Looking at the somewhat restrained Yu Hongyan and the other 3, Lin Feng smiled, it's fine, just put them away. I've calculated that this trip to the Sand Continent won't be peaceful, these talismans are just right for you guys. He turned his head to look at Xiao Yan and the other 3, the same goes for you 4, these talismans are your assets, how you use them is entirely up to you. However, don't say that I didn't remind you. This time, the majority of disciples will be joining your sect. Xiao Yan smiled and said, Master, shouldn't the disciples be filial to us? Why should I give them a greeting gift? Lin Feng looked at him with a faint smile. Oh. If that's the case, why don't you show your filial piety to me? Xiao Yan spread his hands and said with a smile, Master, which part of me is pleasing to the eye? Just take whatever you want. Xiao Budian and the other 2 laughed heartily, they all knew that Xiao Yan and Lin Feng were all joking. Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing looked at this group of master and disciples enviously. However, since it was bestowed by the elders, they did not dare to refuse. Although Lin Feng's expression was relaxed, but since he had bestowed the talismans, it was fine for Yu Hongyan and Yang Qing to reject it once. However, Lin Feng had already specially explained it to them once, so it would be unreasonable for them to insist on rejecting it again. Yang Qing secretly observed the expressions of Xiao Yan and the other 3 Lin Feng's direct disciples, and discovered that they did not mind that Lin Feng had also bestowed the talismans to himself and Yu Hongyan. As such, Yang Qing slightly heaved a sigh of relief, and respectfully received the talismans, thinking in his heart, Senior has done me a great favor, and has bestowed such precious talismans this time. During this trip to the Sand Continent, I must be careful and not ruin Senior's plans. Yang Qing secretly made up his mind, if I can do my part, I must do my best. Yu Hongyan, on the other hand, was more relaxed, and received the talismans, thinking in his heart, Senior has done me a great favor. During this trip to the Sand Continent, if anyone obstructs us, there's no need for Xiao Yan and the other 3 Dao brothers to do anything, I will be the first barrier. Lin Feng looked at Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao, smiling, I am a poor man, so I won't entertain you too. Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao both smiled, and Miao Shihao even covered his mouth and laughed, look at what you're saying, if you need anything, I can even help you with quite a lot of talisman money. After being together for a long time, everyone had gotten used to Brother Shihao's charm, but seeing him like this, most of them still lowered their heads with a strange expression. Lin Feng looked at Miao Shihao, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, that won't be necessary. With a wave of his sleeve, his god of war clone appeared beside him, and said, I still have matters to deal with in Jade Capital Mountain, so I will first use this clone to accompany you to the Sand Continent. Everyone nodded, and Lin Feng's god of war clone said softly, let's go now. Purple aura surrounded his body, and he brought Xiao Yan and the other 5 with him, broke through the void, and flew out of Jade Capital Mountain. Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao followed closely behind. Lin Feng's main body looked at their backs as they left, and he sat down cross-legged on the mountain peak, I'll also start now. Time is limited, but it's both pressure and motivation. After exiting the void turbulence, Lin Feng's clone let Xiao Yan, Zhu Yi, and Tiny Tot fly by himself, and he only brought Wang Lin, Yu Hongyan, and Yang Qing with him. Xiao Yan and Tiny Tot were like wild horses that had broken free of their reins, turning into 2 golden rainbows and instantly disappearing into the northern horizon, rushing towards the Sand Continent at lightning speed. Zhu Yi looked at them and shook his head helplessly, you're going to be someone else's master soon, how can I be at ease? Lin Feng smiled, it's okay, your little junior brother is still young. This time, it's not important whether he accepts disciples or not. As for little Yen, although he's happy now, when he's in front of others, he won't be impolite. He looked at Zhu Yi, being a teacher is also a kind of training for you. On one hand, it's the training of your temperament, and on the other hand, it depends on your understanding of our sect's Taoist techniques. If you don't know much yourself, how can you teach disciples? Zhu Yi nodded heavily, what Master said is right, disciple will definitely pay attention to this aspect. I will definitely not do anything that will mislead the disciples. Lin Feng looked at Wang Lin, little Lin, you've already built your foundation. Master knows that you want to spend all your time on your own cultivation, but as Master said before, opening the door and accepting disciples is also a kind of training for you. Wang Lin nodded, disciple understands. If someone comes under disciple's tutelage, disciple will teach diligently. As they spoke, the group had already arrived in the sky above the Sand Continent. A crack appeared in the space, and one of the 3 chiefs of the Heavenly Trade Pavilion, Song Fu, was standing in the void with a smile. Seeing this, Lin Feng, Kang Nanhua, and Miao Shihao looked at each other and smiled. The 3 of them took a step forward at the same time, traversing the void and arriving in front of Song Fu. Xiao Yan and Tiny Tot, who were originally in front of them, arrived a step later. Seeing Song Fu, they put away their playful expressions and stood behind Lin Feng in a dignified manner. Lin Feng looked at the old man behind Song Fu, who was slowly walking out from the void. Seeing this person, Miao Shihao's eyes flashed and he smiled, I didn't expect to trouble Boss Tan to come personally. Lin Feng had heard Miao Shihao and Kang Nanhua mention the structure of the Heavenly Trade Pavilion before. Now that Miao Shihao mentioned it, he immediately knew that this old man was the head of the 3 chiefs of the Heavenly Trade Pavilion. His cultivation was in the middle stage of the Yuanying stage, and his strength was above Song Fu's. Old Tan's hair and beard were all white, and his face was amiable. Hearing this, he chuckled and said, the master of the mysterious sect has graced the Sand Continent with his presence. No matter what, this old man has to come out to welcome you. He turned his head to look at Lin Feng and said apologetically, the master of the hidden pavilion has been in seclusion for the past 10 years. Sect Master Lin is also unable to attend the grand event of opening the sect. I hope Sect Master Lin will forgive me for my lack of manners. Lin Feng smiled slightly, no matter. The group entered the Sand Continent city and naturally had a place to settle down. Song Fu had already arranged everything properly. What made Lin Feng rather happy was that in the past few months, there were already many young talents who had heard the news and rushed over to join the sect. Through the investigation of the talent detector, there were quite a number of people with relatively high total potential. This made Lin Feng overjoyed. After all, the system required him to take in at least 30 disciples with a total potential of 25 and above. Looking at the numerous talents in front of him, Lin Feng was incomparably happy. Although most of the people's total potential was between 20 and 25, there were also quite a few who had reached 25. Based on this trend, there was a high chance of completing the task. I also have to thank the fact that there are no other major sects in the northern region of Kunlun Mountain. The only major power, the Heavenly Trade Pavilion, is also taking the commercial route. Lin Feng was satisfied. Back then, he had chosen to raise his reputation in the northern region of Kunlun Mountain. It was not only because his sect was here, but also because of the environment in the northern region of Kunlun Mountain. As time passed, the date of Lin Feng's official opening of the sect on the 8th of May was getting closer, and the number of good seedlings that had gathered in the Sand Continent City was also increasing. Seeing that there were enough people to complete the task, Lin Feng was naturally overjoyed. Even though the total potential of the majority of the people just happened to step on the passing line of 25, Lin Feng was still very satisfied. What made him especially satisfied was that most of the people's total potential values were very average, and there were no obvious shortcomings. This was very good news. Although it was not easy to produce world-shaking geniuses, there were already people like Xiao Yan and the rest of the first-generation disciples. It was better for the second-generation disciples to be more stable. A sect needed outstanding geniuses, but they also needed to be down-to-earth and stable as the sect's foundation. Only by complementing each other could they walk a long way. Lin Feng was thinking, when he suddenly sensed something. Kang Nanhua's voice entered his ears. "Sect leader, is it convenient for me to come in?" "Nanhua, just come in." Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the quiet room. Kang Nanhua pushed the door open and came in, smiling. "Another fellow Taoist has come to the Sand Continent, hoping to participate in the sect's opening ceremony and observe from the side." Lin Feng nodded. These days, there were already many sects in the cultivation world that came to the Sand Continent, hoping to participate in the ceremony. Most of them were the local sects of the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain. They were filled with curiosity towards the sudden rise of Xianmen Tianzong and Lin Feng himself. The number of powers that dared to humiliate the Mount Shu Sword sect could be counted on one's fingers in the entire Divine Land. Such a sect suddenly rising in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain would naturally make many people uneasy, and they wanted to find out the truth. Lin Feng did not reject this. Among these powers, there were only a few sects that at most had a Yuanying ancestor. The majority of the other powers did not even have a Yuanying stage cultivator. If there was anyone who could affect Lin Feng's opening ceremony, it would not be them. This time, the sect leader of Beyond Heaven Mountain, Wu Yunliang, has come personally. Accompanying him is his junior brother, Meng Chao Ran. Kang Nanhua paused, then continued, "I feel that this Meng Chao Ran is not ordinary. He seems to only be at the late golden elixir stage, and is far from the Yuanying stage Wu Yunliang. However, I feel that this person is not so simple." Chapter 209. Beyond Heaven's Mountain was located at the eastern edge of the southern foothills of the Kunlun Mountain Range, adjacent to the Great Qin Dynasty. Although it had a history of less than 1,000 years, it had once shocked the world. Its fame was no less than the number one sect in the southern foothills of the Kunlun Mountain, the Wind God sect. However, in the years that followed, Beyond Heaven's Mountain angered the Great Qin Dynasty and was suppressed by the Great Qin Dynasty. Eventually, it declined. Although there would always be outstanding people appearing in the sect, the pressure from the outside world and the internal strife of the sect caused the current Beyond Heaven's Mountain to lose the momentum it once had with the Wind God sect. It was reduced to a second-rate sect in the southern foothills of the Kunlun Mountain Range. However, even so, Beyond Heaven's Mountain had more than one Yuanying stage cultivator. Its strength was still in the top 10 of the Kunlun mountain range. The current sect leader of Beyond Heaven's Mountain, Wu Yunliang, looked to be around 40 to 50 years old. He had 3 strands of black beard and a square and stern face. Lin Feng did not show himself. Kong Nanhua was in charge of receiving them. Both sides were chatting happily. During the conversation, Wu Yunliang intentionally or unintentionally mentioned that he wanted to meet Lin Feng. However, Kong Nanhua calmly led him away. This scene fell into Lin Feng's eyes and he secretly paid attention to it. This Wu Yunliang's conscience is very deep. I'm afraid he has some ulterior motives for coming to the Sand Continent to attend the ceremony. Lin Feng's gaze turned to the other side. Beside Wu Yunliang was a middle-aged man in a purple robe with a tranquil expression. Silently, he did not interrupt or speak. This person is the Meng Chao Ran that Nanhua mentioned? Lin Feng secretly observed. No matter what, this person always had a carefree appearance. However, Lin Feng and Kong Nanhua felt the same. They both felt that Meng Chao Ran was different from others. It was like a volcano. However, it was not a volcano on land, but an active volcano in the deep sea. Under the calmness, there was a hidden passion. His personality is quite similar to Nanhua's. This kind of personality is not bad, but it is easy for tragedy to befall them. Lin Feng shook his head slightly. Suddenly, he thought of something. Oh, Yang Tonghui is here as well. Lin Feng came out to greet his old acquaintance. The person who came was stepping on the azure light. It was perfected Lord Tatian of the Heavenly Sword sect, Yang Tonghui. There were more than 10 people behind him. They were all dressed in azure robes, with blue sashes around their waists and long swords. They were all in the standard uniform of the Heavenly Sword sect. When Yang Tonghui saw Lin Feng, he smiled and said, "Sect leader Lin, thank you for your hospitality." Lin Feng smiled slightly. In his overall plan, the Heavenly Sword sect was a good chess piece that could be used on both sides. Maintaining a close relationship with them would only bring benefits. After the group of Heavenly Sword sect cultivators behind Yang Tonghui paid their respects to Lin Feng, Yang Tonghui suddenly said, "Sect leader Lin, I've received news that someone doesn't want your opening ceremony to go smoothly." Lin Feng smiled. "Is it the Mount Shu Sword sect?" Yang Tonghui nodded. Rumor has it that the demonic swordsman Li might come in person. Lin Feng's heart slightly moved. In the demon race, starting from demon soldiers, then demon generals, demon marshals who formed their demon corps, demon kings who formed their demon nascent souls, then all the way to the great sage of the demon race who cultivate an undying demon soul. In contrast, human cultivators started from training qi, then foundation establishment, golden elixir, yuanying, and primordial spirit. According to the rules of the Tianyuan world, golden elixir cultivators could call themselves Shinren, yuanying cultivators called themselves perfected lords or ancestral masters, and primordial spirit cultivators were called supremes or Taoist masters. Kong Chang was called perfected Lord Li Xiong because he was the first disciple of the Li Xiong branch of the 6 meridian swords of Mount Shu. As for this demonic swordsman Li, since he was called supremes, he must be a primordial spirit cultivator. At the same time, he was the ancestral master of Mount Shu who was in charge of the Li Xiong branch, Kong Chang's master. Primordial spirit cultivators were already at the top of the pyramid of the Tianyuan world. The pressure they brought was far greater than that of yuanying cultivators. Hearing this, Lin Feng's expression didn't change, and he didn't explain much. He just said lightly, "It's fine." Seeing this, Yang Tonghui smiled and didn't continue the topic. As the two were talking, Lin Feng received Miao Shihao's voice transmission. "Sect Master, we seem to have encountered a little trouble." Although it was bad news, Miao Shihao's voice was still very lazy. But for the simple-minded brother Shihao to find it troublesome, Lin Feng knew that it was definitely not a small matter. Little Yen went to the Sand Continent city to pick up a few kids who wanted to join our Xianmen. On the way back to the city, they were intercepted. Miao Shihao said, "When I arrived, it was an old friend, Yu Wanfeng of the Yu clan." He paused for a moment, then continued, "Besides him, there was also the Wind God sect's true monarch Feng Feng and another person I don't know. But this person gave me a very dangerous feeling." Lin Feng said calmly, "Wait there, I will be there soon." He smiled at Yang Tonghui, who was beside him, and said, "Follow me." Saying this, Lin Feng directly stepped into the room. Looking at Wu Yunliang and Meng Chaoran, he said with a faint smile, "I would like to express my gratitude to the two of you for coming to participate in my Xuanmen's opening ceremony." Seeing Lin Feng suddenly appear, Wu Yunliang's eyes flashed, and a smile appeared on his face. "This must be Sect Master Lin. It is my honor to be able to attend such a grand occasion." Without waiting for him to continue speaking, Lin Feng rushed to say, "Before the opening ceremony, I invite everyone to watch a good show." Wu Yunliang and Yang Tonghui looked at each other, and did not say anything. They only nodded and said with a smile, "The guest will follow the host's wishes." Lin Feng did not say anything more, and led the way. Before leaving, he suddenly released a ball of purple gas, which wrapped around the young talents who were waiting to participate in the apprenticeship ceremony, and flew with him to the outskirts of the Sand Continent city. On the way, Lin Feng gave a simple explanation to Kang Nanhua, and at the same time informed Zhu Yi and the other disciples to hurry to Xiao Yan and Miao Shihao's place to meet up. 100 miles southeast of the Sand Continent city, Miao Shihao and Xiao Yan stood in mid-air, facing off against a group of people. On the ground below them, there were 6 or 7 youths. Even though they could feel the tense atmosphere between the two sides, these youths all revealed an envious and longing expression as they looked at the two forces standing in the air. Xiao Yan looked at the people in front of him, saying in a deep voice, "These people want to hurry to the Sand Continent and join my Xianmen Tianzong sect. What is the meaning of all of you obstructing them?" In front of him were the Yu family disciples led by Yu Wanfeng, and the Wind God sect cultivators led by True Monarch Typhoon. Beside Yu Wanfeng and True Monarch Typhoon stood a middle-aged man, wearing a white robe that was filled with cursive characters written in ink. Yet it did not give off a messy and dirty feeling, instead it emitted a strange and profound power concept. The white-robed middle-aged man's temperament seemed scholarly, but also wild, but it gave off a great pressure. It was Mr. Zhang Hai of the House of the Marquis of Xuanji. Facing Xiao Yan's questioning, True Monarch Typhoon and the other two acted as if they did not hear it, as if they completely disdained to pay attention to the Golden Elixir period Xiao Yan. A Golden Elixir period cultivator beside True Monarch Typhoon stood out, sweeping a glance at Xiao Yan, saying indifferently, "Your so-called Xianmen Tianzong is merely a small sect that doesn't make the cut. Taking in these good seedlings is simply a reckless waste of God's gifts, misleading the disciples." He lowered his head and looked at the youths preparing to join his sect, saying, "I am the Wind God sect's inner hall elder Shu Xianshi. Today my Wind God sect is also accepting disciples, all of you can join my Wind God sect." Hearing this, Xiao Yan was so angry that he laughed instead. "Ha, trying to poach in front of us?" Shu Xianshi glanced at Xiao Yan from the corner of his eyes. "These children also have the right to choose. Let's wait and see which sect they are willing to join." "What, you guys want to forcefully recruit them?" He was proud in his heart. "My Wind God sect has been established for millions of years, our might has shaken the entire Kunlun mountain range. How can a small sect like yours that has just been established compare to it? Anyone with a normal brain would know who to choose." The 7 youths on the ground looked at each other. In the end the gazes of everyone gathered on a youth with a frivolous expression on his face. "Lu Xiafeng, what do we do?" The youth called Lu Xiafeng shrugged his shoulders. "I've heard of the Wind God sect, the #1 sect in the south of Kunlun mountain range. Before Xianmen Tianzong rose up, it could pretty much be considered the #1 sect in Kunlun mountain range." Hearing his words, Shu Xianshi, who was in the sky, first revealed a smile, then became dissatisfied and said in a deep voice, "Child, you are ignorant. Even now, my Wind God sect is still the #1 sect in Kunlun mountain range." Hearing this, Lu Xiaofeng raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, "That's really disrespectful, but since you said so, I'm still prepared to choose Xianmen Tianzong. Anyway, I originally came here for this place." He looked at the other youths and said with a smile, "You guys are the same, right?" Lu Xiaofeng obviously had a high prestige among this group of youths. When he said this, the others also nodded hesitantly. Shu Xianzhe was so angry that he was dumbfounded. No matter what, he didn't expect that Lu Xiaofeng and the others would actually choose this way. A small third-rate sect that has just been established is also worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as my Wind God sect? Don't make a mistake. Shu Xianzhe directly landed on the ground and stared at Lu Xiaofeng and the others with a gloomy face. His gaze fell on Lu Xiaofeng. A cultivator in the golden elixir period, even if he didn't make a move, just his aura was enough to crush ordinary people. Lu Xiaofeng also seemed to have some qi cultivating stage cultivation, but how could he resist the pressure brought by Shu Xianzhe's golden elixir period cultivation? However, his character was obviously more unyielding. When facing Shu Xianzhe, he was not afraid. He sneered and said, "Your Wind God sect is awesome, but can you be more awesome than Mount Shu Sword sect? Mount Shu Sword sect has lost face, what is there for your Wind God sect to be proud of?" How could Shu Xianzhe not hear the meaning behind Lu Xiaofeng's words? He was so angry that he shouted angrily. The mana around his body turned into a tornado and fiercely pounced towards Lu Xiaofeng. He didn't need any spells. Just the release of mana was enough to tear Lu Xiaofeng into pieces. Scram back to the southern foothills of Kunlun Mountain. It's not your turn to behave atrociously here. Xiao Yan's joking voice suddenly sounded in Shu Xianzhe's ears. In the next moment, he saw an iron fist directly break through the tornado that pounced towards Lu Xiaofeng and arrived in front of Shu Xianzhe. Shu Xianzhe's expression was shocked and angry, but he was secretly sneering in his heart. He wanted to provoke Xiao Yan. During the vast Sea Dharma assembly, the battle between Xiao Budian and the Mount Shu sword cultivators had already been widely circulated. Shu Xianzhe's previous contempt was just a tactic to confuse the opponent. At this moment, he seemed to be caught unprepared by Xiao Yan, but in fact, he was already prepared. The strongest nine heavens formless astral wind turned into an invisible sharp blade and slashed towards Xiao Yan. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.